Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My YouTube is really not looking any good. Well, there we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 100% ALR, your good old favourite one and only 100% league, where we do every lap of a Grand Prix track, because God forbid any of us have lives. I am Luke. I will, of course, be taking you through tonight's proceedings, and we're back at Mexico City, the technically Mexico City Grand Prix. That's its official name nowadays, but it's Mexican Grand Prix, and that is what we should really refer to it as. Mushroom giving me fantastic advice of speaking to the microphone. Thank you, Mushroom. Your commentator tidbits are never... I could never commentate and stream without you, bud, so thank you very much. Let me just do a very quick sound check. I heard myself, and that's good enough for me. Unfortunately, that's also going to be good enough for you guys. But yes, as I said, here in Mexico, a quite bit of a Marmite track, to be honest, in real life, given the stupidly long straight that surrounds this this circuit. But also the fact that in real life, racing never tends to be that good. I think last year was maybe a bit of an exception, but generally it is normally quite a one-sided affair. It's not, we haven't really had close races in the past. There's always been one driver or team who's dominated, but there's not much domination at the moment in ALR. That is a lie, because we have had quite a streak here from... good old Kieran, SF1, P9 at the moment in the V-Carb, sitting in the pit lane. He's been on a roll, unfortunately for him, a bit too late in the season to be going for the championship, because we only have, can you believe it, after tonight, there are only 4 rounds left. We go to Reversed Austria next week, which is going to be fun. Very much looking forward to Reversed Austria. Reversed Silverstone earlier this season was a lot of fun. Then we have Brazil, Las Vegas, and we end in Abu Dhabi, guys. We only have 4 weeks left. Which I'm sure for you guys, you're probably going, thank God you don't hear my ugly mug for after those 4 weeks, but unfortunately, for those 4 weeks, I'm still here. And we will also be happy to hear we have no wildcards tonight. We're in the middle of a triple header of no wildcards, so no wildcards, obviously, last week, nor tonight, nor next weekend, or next week. So that will be, I'm sure, a bit of relief for the drivers. Don't have to worry about who's doing what and whether or not they're complying with said rules. After that, we do end the season with a lot of wild cards, which of course I'll explain closer to the time. But yeah, we are underway. Marsky in the Ferrari, who's had a bit of an up and down season. It's either been fantastic or really bad. Or as Sean said on Monday when he described me, feast or famine. I really like that saying. I might have to co-ed that term now, because I quite like that. That was really good from Sean. I like that. Very accurate for my season as well in ALR Silver, of course. Silver on the Mondays. So yes, Marsky had a bit of a feast and famine season. While speaking of feasts and famines, we'll have a look at who is eating healthily at the top of the standings. It is Reflection, who we took the championship lead from Equaz, who took it from him the week prior, but the gap between them is just 3 points. That is correct. 3 points down between Equaz in the Haas and Reflection in the Mercedes. He said Haas again. And they are both here tonight. Reflection and Equaz are both here in the building. Third is Lucas Percy, but he again is not racing tonight. He did check in to say he was, and then he isn't, so not quite sure, Lucas, what you're up to. His Marsky gets us off with a 16.4. That's immediately beaten by Jenna, who does a 16.1. Good showing there from Jenna. He is making the most of that. Williams, there is our championship leader. Reflection next across the line is going to be someone. I think it was a V-Carb starting up, or it might be an RT Beat in the Alpine. A lot of people starting their laps. One thing that annoys me about the Mexico City track in this game is the fact it is still not accurate. The middle sector is still technically incorrect, and that just really annoys me. As Liam comes down the final corner, he has invalidated 17.4. He has elected to use the medium tyres though. Interesting tyre choice there, going against the grain of everyone else. Next to cross the line it will be not trying to beat his teammate Kamara Racer in the Alpine pink and blue. Coming around the final corner, Kamara Racer up to the line. It's a 16.1. He just misses that provisional pole, not far off Jenna. Mercedes of Reflection rounds the final corner. He goes quickest with a 16 flat, so we're nearly in the 15s already. And that was Cam putting himself P5, 16.5. Slowest of the runners so far, but only half a second off provisional pole. And Mad Max, his teammate, not teammate, the other Williams slips in to P5. Already we've got some very close times out there. Next cross line will be Knowlesley, who has a Williams of Ginna behind him. So thankfully Ginna's finished his lap. Knowlesley underway to start his. So the only kick Sauber being represented tonight underway as well. So Reflection's done his lap. Who's next cross line? I think it is R2 Beat. It was R2 Beat. He does 17.2, dead last out of those. And Kieran SF1, there he is in that V-Carb, goes to visual pole, but only by half a tenth. And Lewis and Riley as well. Very good job from him. P3, just off the position. As Equaz now 59 to championship leader. It goes into the 15s. First driver into the 15s. So we have a very tight field so far. Look at that. P1 to P10 is covered by 8 tenths of a second. Exactly 8 tenths of a second, which makes me feel very happy. I am that kind of OCD, ADHD guy. Is exactly a number. Makes me muy bueno. Spanish. It is Spanish, good. I am very much acclimatized into the local culture. Sean is underway, and Jay Hings as well in the Mercedes, getting a very tasty toe from the Red Bull. Unfortunately, that toe is not going to be very useful for the rest of the lap, and he's invalidated at turn 1. So that has really done Jay Hings in. He could have had a fantastic lap there, but he's already done himself in. Knowlesley in the kick Sauber is next driver to cross the line on a lap. And he goes to absolute Narnia into entering the stadium section. So that is definitely not the prescribed track. Very lucky he got away with that. Probably lifted enough the game to give him that without giving him an invalidation, because otherwise that would have been, if that was real life, he's getting that lap time deleted regardless of where he ends up. And he goes 16.9 P11. So Knowlesley making up his own track and not really benefiting from it. He's also rented the number 94, which is what Robert Schwartzman uses when he stands in for practice sessions. Fun fact for you. I know I am just a bastion of wealth of knowledge just to impart on my viewers. I don't know why I know that fact, to be honest. I genuinely don't know why I know Robert Schwartzman carries the number 94. Who knows? We are now with Sean, who, Sean has done pretty decently. I mean, he's finished the races. He hasn't been the quickest, but he's finished the races. After the line, speaking of not being quick, he's slowest of the runners so far. But he has very much kept it going as old Sean, and that's really actually helped him a lot in just finishing the races. That's all you need to do to really, if you can finish a race, chances are you can get points, because obviously we do award points down to 15th in the standings. I'm pretty sure we do it down to 15th. It's down to 14th. Okay, why is it 14th? That really, that's... What? Really 14th? I thought it was down to 15th. Okay. Anyway, Vintage in the McLaren running Bottas' number. He'll have to give that up on F126. Of course, Finn returning with Cadillac, who are promoting themselves very nicely earlier today with some footage of Sergio Perez in the sim. Very exciting that we will have 11 teams on the grid next season through the Sector 2 for Vintage. Part of the track which is not accurate. This corner is a lot slower in real life. It's a lot more sharp and it's a little bit more prolonged. But good old Cody's, God forbid we get a laser scan track or even an updated track. Like, they don't need to laser scan Hungary, but please update the curbs, because they really irks me in the middle sector, because those curbs are vastly different to what they should be. In real life, those curbs are they're like just little mounds. In the game, they're just like, oh, I hate that chicane. In Hungary, Vintage runs the final corner. He's done with my yapping about my dislike for the Hungaroring, and he goes 16th in that McLaren, and someone popped themselves up as well. Was that Hings? It was Jay Hings. He finally completed a lap that was deemed acceptable by stewards after he could have got a very nice toe from Sean and decided to cut turn 1 because, well, why not? R2B is still trundling around on those soft tyres. He's likely getting some last-minute practice in during qualifying. Yeah, why not? Absolutely. Go to Reflection, our championship leader. He's blasting down the start-finish rate, one of the longest start straights, I think one of the longest straights in the world, and definitely one of the longest, I think it's the longest one to turn one in the world as well. As I said, not a great track in real life, because you think with a straight that long, it's fantastic, but given the fact that this is a track that's, I think, stupidly high in terms of altitude, the air is very thin, so you run barn door rear wings, but because the altitude and the physics of physics, it doesn't actually have good racing, and that is not a good exit out of that corner from Reflection. That is really not how he should be taking that corner at all. He's still pushing on. It was only one corner, and it wasn't the most important corner on the track, but that is not how you want to be taking that corner from the championship leader, especially when your championship rival is on pole position by just shy of a tenth over you. Coming up to sector 2, I'm not expecting much from his second sector split. Was it? He's down, but not by much, not as much as you'd expect, down by 66 hundredths of a second, so less than a tenth. So he's doing well, it's just that he had that mistake in the middle sector, which I think could cost him dearly as he heads into the penultimate corner, around the Pebble Tardo, I believe it is. Reflection up the line, and he's into the pits. Not surprised there, he was not gaining much time, I can imagine. He's coming, I think, just right behind his teammates, the two Mercedes, into the pits. Kamara Vesa, wow, where did that come from? 15.8, did not expect to see that from him this evening, but Kamara Vesa throws his hat into the ring with a fantastic lap. Though Cam now goes quickest. That is some either fantastic track evolution, or we have some very, very underrated drivers here. Cam is weaving down the straight as if he's just won the race. But I mean, if he can do a lap like that, you can't discount him from indeed taking a potential podium. But we do wait what the others have in store. Equaz is beginning his lap, and look at that, the two Hasses working together. Legend giving his teammate a tow, the likes of which would make most F1 teams in real life blush. Out the way for racing turn 1 as Kieran SF1 puts himself back on pole by less than half a tenth over his own teammate. So V-Carb 1-2, but Equaz now the one to watch in that Haas. He's had a beautiful tow down to turn 1 from his teammate. We'll see if that gives him the desired result of going to sector 1. He's up by half a second. Crikey. If he can just maintain that for the rest of the lap, he'll be on provisional par by 2/10 of a second. He does need to maintain it though. No mistakes from him. And if he can extend it, then wow, I don't think there's much anyone could do unless they too start giving their teammates tows. This could be an issue for Reflection. Although I think it was Kieran that said last week he does enjoy racing at Mexico, so we'll see how that goes. Equaz into sector 2, he's up, he's lost a little bit of time, down by a tenth, but it should still be enough to give him provisional pole as things stand. Haas sparking away as it enters the stadium section, which is a very Mickey Mouse area, just designed to get the cars to the stadium section, I guess. It does look incredible to be in that stadium section. Equaz up the line, he's had a fantastic tow. Can he make it pole? He can, by just over, what was that, 600ths of a second? Yeah, 600ths of a second. What a lap from Equaz. He's very much taken pole, but not by a massive margin, despite that tow into turn 1. See if he can repay the favour to his teammate, who did obviously have to sacrifice their first lap on those soft tyres. Not that I can imagine Legend was using it much. He's slowed down, has Equaz, and I think he's... Yep, he's going to try and give his teammates the tow back. Not down the best straight on the track, but I'm sure that Legend will very much appreciate Legend, who I think has pace ultimately, but has had a very unfortunate season, normally out of his control. He's up by 3/10, which could throw him in around Mad Max and into the top 10. Jinner puts himself up to P5. We do have more laps coming in. Knowlesley has qualified into P11, and Jay Hings is beginning his lap in the Mercedes. So drivers are coming out of the pits, they're doing some laps while the track is quiet before we have the flurry at the end of the session. Of course, your average flurry of cars that want the best track conditions right at the end of the session. You think he's going to get a tow from Knowlesley. Knowlesley goes wide out of turn 3, and he is going to get a bit of a tow from the Sauber. Cheeky tow, we shall say, not one that's probably planned from the Sauber driver, and Jay Hings up by a tenth. Not that that would improve him any stretch of the imagination, as Legend does indeed go up to P8. He's into the top 10. He's not far away from Equaz's championship rival Reflection. Can the Hasses work together here to potentially thwart Reflection and give Equaz the lead of the championship straight back again? We'll wait and see how it's going to work out. Reflection has come out of the pit lane to go again. This will probably be his last lap. He does like to go slightly earlier than everyone else just to make it easier for him. His teammate hasn't validated, unfortunately, for Jay Hims, so that improvement that we saw in Sector 1 is not going to mean anything to the Mercedes driver. We'll see if he finishes the lap what could have been for him down in 14th. It's a bit disappointing for me because he does generally have decent pace, but not getting into the groove yet in qualifying, but there'll still be probably another run to go for the Mercedes driver. We're going to have a little lull on track as most people drive into the pits for their final set of soft tyres and their final set of fuel. Actually, we don't have anyone on a push lap. Legend is on an in lap, and we have Camaro and Reflection out on out laps instead of Reflection. Let's go a little earlier in these quali sessions just to beat the rush, because if someone makes a mistake or you get caught right behind someone, then you really start to have potential problems there from them as come on out into the second sector. So we have two drivers out on out laps. Everyone else probably waiting at least another minute in the pit lanes, if not 90 seconds. Not a long lap here in Mexico City. Probably out lap, depending on traffic, you're looking probably 1 minute 20, 25. If there's a lot of traffic you have to get out of the way for. So people can leave the pit lane probably with less than 2 minutes on the clock and still get round in decent nick to start their laps. Speaking of starting laps, here comes Reflection. We'll stay on board with the championship leader. He needs to have a good evening this evening to extend that lead. Obviously a long way to go, as I said. 4 rounds still left in the championship, but only 3 points separating him and Equaz. It will go down to potentially the wire, and every point is going to count. Will there be ruse from Reflection? Of course, earlier when he had that gearbox issue in Singapore a couple of weeks ago that robbed him of a great finish. Will Equaz rue the fact that he made that horrific strategy call, I think, at Silverstone that really stopped him from scoring good? Both the drivers have not had the perfect season, but both drivers are going to have to make every single point count, because it is, I fear, going to come down to that in Abu Dhabi, where there are double points on offer. So it's not necessarily all on today, but every point is going to count. And how is Reflection's second sector looking? He is absolutely pushing it to the limit out there. He's nearly out of battery. He's still got sector to go. He's up by a 10th, which would get him potentially on par with Jinnah, but not near his championship rival, who is sitting in pole position. Reflection now needs a fantastic end to this lap and hope that he has enough fuel, because if he does, he can go again. But if he doesn't, this will be Reflection's best offering of the session. Can Reflection get any higher than the third row of the grid? Up to the line for Reflection. It is not. He stays P6. He closes the gap a bit. He does improve his time, but he cannot get any higher. He's still a 10th and a half off of Jinnah in P5. So Reflection will start no higher than P6. As I said, if he has the battery, he can potentially go again. And if those soft tyres can hold up. I'm not seeing a fuel light flashing yet, but we'll wait and see if Reflection has fueled himself up for another run. And here comes everyone else out on the track. Equaz, provisional pole sitter on track. Kieran, dominating man for the last few weeks out on track. These two could get embroiled in quite the tussle. Of course, as I said, Kieran not in a position really to take the championship fight, but still in a position to have a major effect on the championship. He can be taking points away from both contenders, so we'll wait and see what he can do. And Cam as well in the other V-Carb. V-Carb having a very strong showing this evening. I'm sure they won't be too upsetty spaghetti about that. The V-Carb F1 team. Cam is indeed a reserve for this evening, so Cam showing what he can do in 100%. But we will stay with Equaz because he is the championship leader. He's giving his teammate a tow this time around. He's sacrificing his final lap to give his teammate a tow, which is, I love that for him. Very valiant, and a teammate can really help. For those that remember, my teammate last season in bronze was really good. Reflection has retired in the pits. He's not going again, but he'll be happy to see his championship rival isn't going either. So Equaz here, he's left himself potentially vulnerable to a second run, as Cam has begun his lap. No, Cam's failed to improve. Cam has improved, but he's missed out by 2 milliseconds. Sorry, Cam improves, but misses out by 2 milliseconds. That is the gap between Equaz and Cam. What can Kieran do, though? Kieran's not going to have the tow that Equaz had, and Equaz was given to his teammate Jinnah. Reflection has retired from the pits. In the pits, he's done for the day. If Legend can get between him and Equaz, this could spell major damage for Reflection's championship ambitions. We know that Reflection does tend to have good race pace normally, but Kieran, slight wiggle of the rear end coming through into the second sector now, passed into the fastest part of the track. He's got a Haas up the road of, I don't think that is Equaz. It is Equaz, but I think he's quite far ahead now to not really be much of an issue. Kieran, SF1, what is his second sector looking like? The Haas going to probably keep well out of the way. Doesn't want to give him an inherent tow. He's up by 2/10, and this could be Kieran's best lap of the session. It could be the best lap of the evening. Legend has indeed jumped Reflection. That could be quicker. He set the exact same lap time as Jinnah. Kieran now, He's rounding the final few corners through the Mickey Mouse Stadium section, through the Pale Tyler for the penultimate and final time. Can Kieran SF1 put his V-Cub back on pole position up the line for Kieran SF1? It's pole, and it's not even close. It's a 4/10 margin to Equus. Equus crosses the line. He's done. Jinner, what can he do? He's up. Could Jinner put himself potentially onto the second row? Can he displace either Kamaro or Cam? Jinner now up to the line. What can the Williams driver do? He is P2. Wow, what a lap from Jinner. P2. Fantastic job there. Equus pushed down to P3. Anyone else across the line? Nosey has invalidated. We have the J. Hings has invalidated. He would have been 16-2. That would have done really well. That put him inside nearly the top 10. Vintage has invalidated. Liam stays 17th. Vintage invalidated. Hings is done. Ginger Rage is done. R2 Beat is up to P10. Nice up there from the Beat in the Alpine. Fantastic job from him, but that is it. Those are the challengers have fallen. Kieran SF1 is on pole position, and the gap, ladies and gentlemen, is just under 3/10 of a second. 3/10 of a second. It is just 2.25 tenths between him and Jinner. Jinner, lap from the Williams driver. Jinner, we know, fantastic quali pace, race pace, questionable, but potentially he has turned a leaf. He was very strong in silver on Monday at Baku, and are we seeing a resurgence from Jinner? We know Williams somewhat embroiled in a fight in the constructors. Of course, Haas very much running away with it at the moment. They can't win it this week, but they're not far off of it. Williams fighting for P2 in the constructors. Could Jinner be the difference? But it is Kieran SF1 on pole, Jinner second, Equus third, Cam is fourth, Kamaro fifth, Legend sixth, Reflection down in seventh, Vessier and Lewis and Riley 8th and 9th, R2 Beat 10th, Marsky is 11th, Mad Max 12th, Nosey P13, Ginger Age P14, Hings is 15th, Vintage is 16th, Liam 17th, Stars and Mushroom, neither of whom set competitive laps. We'll take a short break, and when we're back, we are ready for 71 laps of the Mexico City Grand Prix. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are underway here for the formation lap at the Mexico Grand Prix. I've had a very nice protein drink. Normally protein drinks are either terrible or lovely, and that was lovely. What else is lovely? We have some split strategies, and we have the trifecta of tyres. We have all three tyre compounds in use, which I'm sure you all know makes me a very happy bunny. Kieran SF1 has gone hard. We saw this in Kota last weekend. He was so quick on that hard tyre, he was able to pull away from everyone at the end. Even though it's around him on mediums, he was able to pull away. Jinner has gone medium, as has Equus. Cam hard, Kamaro has gone hard, Legend has gone medium, so the Haas is on the same page. Reflection has gone hard, Vessier hard, Lewis medium, Aston splitting the strategy. R2 Beat hard, Marsky medium, Mad Max medium, Nosey medium, The Rage is medium, Hings is medium, Vintage is medium, Liam only driver on the softs, Stars is on mediums, and Mushroom rounds out the grid on the mediums. So more mediums than hards, one soft, because there has to be one soft. As I said, no wildcards tonight, so it's just pure 71 laps. And of course, the only thing that we have in play, as we do every week, you're probably sick of me telling you, but we do of course have realistic cars in effect, so your McLarens will be quick, and in theory your Saubers and Alpines will be slow. I'm not sure if they've actually given an update patch to the actual performance of the cars. If they have, they have. If they haven't, they haven't. But yeah, it is realistic cars, as you all know, but I do like to remind everyone. So, very good. Knowsley for P12. Oh, that is unfortunate there, Knowsley, because you're there and thereabouts. So that's not terrible. Good luck. Oh, yes. Good luck, everyone. Good luck, Beat. Good luck, Equaz. Good luck, Knowlesley. Good luck, everyone. Of course, good evening, everyone in the chat. Apologies for not reading the chat there, but I will catch up. Keep those comments coming in. Love to talk to you all. Love to hear what you're thinking of the on-track action. The on-track action is that we are coming up now to the start line. Kieran, basically, he wants to make sure those hard tyres are up to temperature. He pulls into his slot. Gingermate is pulled into his slot very poorly. And Kieran is really much disqualified. So he's going to try and do a very pointed turn. He's not been able to do so, and that's going to give him a disadvantage because he's now got to start further back than he would have liked. But the starting sequence is underway. We have 5 red lights. The Mexico City Grand Prix is underway, but it's still a good car from Kieran. In fact, it's a very good start from Equaz. Equaz had a fantastic start in the house. And oh, they want to making contact with Jenna. He's had to lift off there, and he's been unfortunately dobbed in a bit. Because here comes Cam, here comes Kamara, here comes his own teammate of legend. And suddenly Equaz's start's gone from good to pretty poor. Is Jenna going to lunge up the inside? He does not. It's all getting quite tense at the back. I'm seeing no cars around. Potentially there's a bit of ghosting going on as the cars all slow and jostle for position. I think everyone's made it through in one piece. They have indeed. There's no yellow flags. No Frontman saw. I saw no Frontman coming off. Kieran SF1 is in first, and it is. Oh no! He's been hit by his teammate. He's been hit by his teammate who was diving up the inside of Jinna, and that has not worked out because here comes Equaz back up the inside of the V car. But Equaz needs to keep these positions as best he can. That was a bad mistake there from Cam. Tried to dive bomb Jinna, nearly took out his own teammate for good measure and lost out a position as well. So not what he needed to do tonight in that V car, but he keeps P4. I'm sure he'll be strong. Jinna now has to push to keep in that 1 second of Kieran, which will be at DRS activated end of this lap. But of course, they won't be able to use it really until this part of the lap on the next straight. Legend has passed Lewis. O'Reilly gives each other space, gentlemen, and they have into the stadium section. O'Reilly looks back up the inside, nothing doing there, unsurprisingly, as they all Constantina up. But it is Kieran who keeps pole, and it is Jinna who keeps second. And Equaz has remarkably climbed back up to third, which at one point looked unlikely given the fact he was kind of dragging Jinna along. Kieran already weaving to break that toe. DRS is enabled. He's got another 2 sectors to go before he can try and hopefully break that toe to Jinna, but Jinna closing in with the toe and probably a bit of battery usage. Cam looking a little bit offensive, trying to give Equaz a little nudge to go, I'm still here. Kamara P5, Reflection P6. So Reflection has skipped ahead of the Legend, which could be critical because that could end up very much being a cork in the bottle. It's going to be careful though because Reflection is on those medium tyres, which you would expect to be quicker at this stage in the race. Those are your strategies. Hard medium is what they're saying for potential 2 stops. That is if the drivers have picked the harder tyre set, which will give them 2 sets of hard tyres. If they haven't, then we could be on for a 3 stop, at least according to Pirelli. Cam, after his good start, he's not carrying any wing damage that I can see, but potentially might have wing damage from that clipping of his own teammate. And Jinna has kept him in the DRS of the V-carb, as Equaz has already picked up a 3-second time penalty. Wow, that is poor showing from the Hash driver. 3 seconds on lap 2. Jinna is pretty much pushing Kieran through the stadium section. Kieran there really getting a bit of a hustle on from Jinna. We could see a change for the lead here. Jinna pushing through the stadium section. Equaz, I wonder if that is a legitimate 3 second. It could be a double warning. We know those are possible in this game. Jinna sets 5 lap of the race, and he's burning battery. He has DRS, Kieran burning battery too, but with the DRS, with the ERS, is Jinna about to take the lead away from Kieran SF1. Kieran going to the inside, Jinna going to the outside, Jinna pushing on, breaks late on the racing line, gets the move done. He's up into first position, Kieran down to second. Of course, Kieran won't have any DRS down this straight either because it's 1 detection point for 2 DRS zones. So he won't get DRS. He's got a better exit though than Jinna. He's burning the battery. He's trying to get it done. He's in the slipstream. Is Kieran going to make a lunge up the inside? No, he thinks better of it. Stays behind the Williams for now. But so Kieran down to second. Jinna leads the Mexico City Grand Prix. Fantastic job from the Williams driver there. Very strong showing. They're all flashing through sector 2 because you want to make sure you're harvesting through this part of the lap, even through these sections here, because unless you're worried about losing the DRS of the car ahead, you might as well save the battery whilst you can. So through here, Kieran elected to use some of his battery, not to save it as much. He's already trying to push onto the back of Jinna. He's got Equaz already looming large in the mirrors. The DRS train is going from 1st to 9th. Marsky has just about been dropped by Beat. And they head into the Mickey Mouse Stadium section. Obviously, this track as well used was going to be used for NASCAR and IndyCar, but IndyCar has pulled out due to the World Cup potentially. This track will be used again in 27 for IndyCar, which will be great, especially for Pato Award. This track is also used for Formula E and of course domestic series, but most of these series use the shortened layout where you basically cut all of Sector 1 effectively out of the track. Is Kieran going to get the lunge here on Jenna? Jenna is flashing. Kieran thinks better of it though, he backs off in the braking zone. Will he go for it again, potentially on this next straight, which he will have DRS for? He had a good exit last lap out of this corner. Is he going to have a good exit? He does, but I think Jinder had a slightly better one. At best, they were equal with their exits. He's not even burning any battery, so I don't think Kieran is going to go for any kind of move here. He is purely in harvesting mode, which is obviously a lot easier when you're in the DRS of the car ahead and not under much threat from the car behind. We'll look at the positions gained over the first few laps. Obviously, the leaders have swapped around. Reflection has jumped Legend, which as I said could be massive for his championship. Biggest winner is Hungry Stars up 3. Biggest loser is Vessier and Ginger Rage, both down 3 positions. But the field is still compressed as we head on, as Ginger Rage actually made it. He's only lost 2 positions. He's got past the Ferrari of Liam, who was the only driver to pick the soft tyres at the start. I feel like that is very much a 3-stop strategy from Liam. He's committing to it nice and early. So we head into the stadium section. Past the crowds of adoring Mexican fans. As Camaro Racer has picked up a 3 seconds, so Camaro is already getting a penalty. Here comes Kieran though, he has a nice battery full of VRS to deploy. He'll have DRS 2, but Jenna is also using his battery to fend off the V-Carb, but the V-Carb is closing, Jenna is harvesting, and Kieran is going to take the lead back on lap 5 of the Mexico City Grand Prix, cuts across to retake the racing line, perfectly legal to do so. Jenna getting a face full of dirt here as they head into the braking zone, and that is Vessier also passing Marsky. Marsky obviously lost DRS to the cars ahead, and I think Vessier wants to try and rectify that the best he can, otherwise he will be a sitting duck, and Jenna already nearly been dropped by Kieran. He's only even taken into turn 1, but with the DRS down, the run between turns 3 and 4, Kieran was able to get a very good run on the Williams, and now the gap is 8/10. Can Kieran break DRS? If he can, that would be huge for his chances of winning the race. It is tight. Jenna might need to use a bit of battery here to keep in DRS. It's better to use battery than to lose DRS, especially here at Mexico City. The gap is over a second, and I think that is it for the DRS for Jenna, at least in this zone. He's got a little while to go before the next detection point, which is just after the hairpin and that right in the stadium section. But at the moment, Kieran SF1 has broken the DRS to Jenna, and that could leave Jenna vulnerable to Equaz, to Cam, to Camaro, to Reflection. This train is quite a long one, and look at that, Vessier nearly in the DRS of R2B. So Vessier doing what he needs to do to try and reclaim some of the positions he lost at the start, and Jenna has been dropped massively. Kieran has turned on the jets, and he has disappeared down the straight. Now it's going to be Equaz versus Jenna. Jenna might be losing 2 positions in the span of a lap, and potentially at the same place. Equaz though not burning the battery on the run to turn 1. Someone who is Cam, and Cam is going to go for it on Equaz. Cam in the V-Carb, he's got no championship to fight for. Equaz does. He's still got to be careful. They touch wheels, but it is Equaz who is pushed down another position. So Equaz, he looks from potentially going after Jenna to losing a position. He's now off the podium rostrum, and that's before we factor in his 3-second penalty. Is Cam also going to make it 2 for 1 on this lap? He is up the inside. Jenna does go defensive. Jenna's still there. On the outside, Jenna will have the inside line. Oh, this is close. This is tight. Cam, there's a bit of wheel banging. Cam is through, and it's a V-Carb 1-2. Cam, fantastic job there. He can now be a little bit of a cork in the bottom potentially, unless he wants the glory, and he can see if he can chase after his teammate Kieran. So Jenna down a position, Equaz down a position. Cam has gone from 4th to 2nd in the span of, well, a sector, more than anything. Now Jenna's going to come under threat from Equaz. I don't think we'll see it overtake in this part of the track, purely because this DRS straight is not long enough. It purely serves to try and keep you with the car ahead so that you can get DRS down the next straight, so you can keep up with them through the stadium section. Jenna has got a lot of cars behind him. You can see there, R2B and Vessier has indeed caught up to this. The DRS train has elongated. It's now 3rd down to 11th. Marsky and is in the same train as Jenna. Here we go. Lap 7, and Jenna just about had DRS on Cam there, which I think could be saving his bacon from Equaz. I think without it, he'd have been a bit boned. Who might be boned is Cam, because Jenna has some fantastic straight line speed. Jenna up the inside into turn 1. Can he get the move done on the V-Carb? V-Carb is still there. V-Carb will have the inside line. Jenna trying to do the old up and under, which gives him a slightly better exit off the corner. He's using the battery. DRS is open. Can Jenna get the move back done? Can he get back his 2nd place? Cam is pretty much holding the inside line of best his ability. Jenna backs away, does not want it. Nearly hits the back of the V-Carb, but he does not want to take out Cam, and he stays in third position. But Jinna clearly running a little bit less downforce because he has been very potent down the run to the start-finish straight. So yes, Jinna clearly doing something right because he's very quick down the start-finish straight. But he does have Equaz on his posterior, and Cam will need to push as hard as he can to try and get the Williams out of his DRS. And if they start fighting very heavily for the third position on the podium, then this could let the V-Carbs run away a little bit and dictate the race at their own pace, as I'm sure Kieran is. He doesn't need to push too hard because, as things stand at the moment, his teammates having to fight very hard to keep his second position. Further down the grid, we do have Vessier pushing very close onto the back of R2 Beat. As usual, the DRS trend though, you tend not really to be able to get ahead of the car although Lewis and Riley is up ahead of R2 Beat, and Lewis and Riley has not had a good exit off that corner at all, and this could let R2 Beat have a go at the Williams. We'll cut now back to the podium positions because Jinna has blasted past Cam well before the braking zone of turn 1. He is through and he is gone, and is Lewis, no, R2 Beat stays behind now, the Aston Martin. We are seeing the hard tyres come alive, although Jinna is the exception to that rule because he is still pushing onwards with a lot of haste at the moment. Kieran breaking away, but not disappearing with it yet. He is still catchable. He's not really because he's absolutely rapid, but he is still pushing on as we've had our first pit stop. Liam has pitted and Mad Max has pitted, so 2 pit stops already, which I did miss, apologies. But Liam has already called it quits on his soft tyres after after a dozen of laps, so that is not boding well for anyone that wants to go to the soft tyres if Liam already found he could get 7 laps out of them. But that could have also been wing damage because he's come out very far behind Mad Max, despite the early pit stop. Mad Max also pitting. Is that going to trigger any potential pushes? R2B is fighting with Lewis, and he's overtaken Lewis Riley into the stadium section. So me saying, oh, you don't get any overtakes in that corner. Clearly I was wrong. So well done to him as Liam picked up another 3-second penalty. So R2B now pushes the Astons next to each other. Will we see Lewis and Riley potentially give way to his teammate? He's got to be careful though because Marsky is right there as well. So if he's going to do it, he needs to be smart about it. Cam is coming back on the attack on Jinna. Not quite having the same turn line speed as Jinna. It's going to be side by side potentially into turn 1. Jinna, a little bit of wheel banging, is forced to concede the position, and he might even lose out to Equaz here. Equaz in the Haas has had a good exit, and of course Jinna will not have DRS down this straight. Here comes the Haas. Is he going to go for it? He's got the DRS, but he's not burning any battery, and so he's electing on purpose to stick behind for now on this lap. Potentially waiting for Cam to hopefully ditch, because obviously, as I said, the hard tyres might be becoming slightly more potent than the mediums, so there's a potential that we're going to see a little bit of tactical play from here from Equaz. He's working with Jinna because Jinna is on the same tyres, and Jinna has lost the DRS to the Williams, and this could play very much into Equaz's hands. But as I said, those hard tyres are looking better, and Jinna has gone wide. Jinna's gone off the track, and Equaz is going to take the podium position, and I think Jinna might lose out here to Kamara Racer as well, and he does so. That is really unfortunate for Jinna. And the smallest of mistakes through sector 2 sees him drop from third to 5th, but he was very came on the track very well there, very good, with very safe re-entry there from the Williams. He could have really made that bad, but he very much elected not to. But now we have a different head of the train. Reflection now on the back of Jinna, and he has a full battery pack to play with. Jinna very much doesn't, and even though Jinna is trying to burn that battery, that Williams is a slippery one in the straight line. As you can see, look at that speed he has down the straight. He's almost on the back of Camaro. Guys, he's had to lift off early. Here comes Jinna. No, Jinna backs out of it. I thought Jinna would have lunged up the inside, given Equaz was left vulnerable. Kamara was left vulnerable by Equaz's braking point. Jinna, though, still there. He's right on the back of the Alpine. Of course, you have a draggy car with a bad engine, with potentially, or arguably, the least draggy car on this grid with a great engine. And Jinna is very much putting that Mercedes to very good use. He's burning it. He's using all of the available horsepower, and he's going after the Alpine. So, as I said, realistic cars. This is very interesting, an Alpine versus the Williams. But we are on to lap 10 already. This race is flying by. It's generally quite a quick one. Despite the 71 laps, we do obviously have a very short lap around here. Again, Jinna sliding a little bit through sector 2. I think those medium tyres are starting to wear off, but he's lucky because he has fantastic straight line speed. So what he can't make up for in sector 2, he's making up for more than enough down the straights. And Equaz has caught up the back of Cam. So Cam has been re-caught. He obviously they pull away from these guys during the fight, but he's just about, as he got back in, I think Equaz has just about missed out there by the series of margins. He's had a very, very bad exit. Jinna's into the pits. His tyres have already called it quits. But he's had a bad exit there. Has Equaz, can he make a move from Kamara. So is it under threat? Kamara doesn't have much battery, as I said, does not probably have a very good car in terms of drag and straight line speed, but he is up and through, and critically Reflection is just about outside that DRS range of these two cars. Jenna had such a poor third sector, his tyres were so gone that he wasn't able to really keep up, but I think Reflection should be able to put that to bed, and Jenna onto the hard tyres. And 10 laps on the mediums, not a great look for this race. It is looking more likely to be a three-stopper. The sun is bearing down on these drivers here in Mexico City, which means it's probably quite a high track temperature. And of course, there's so much load put through these tyres at this track, especially through that very quick sector 2, that it is markedly difficult to keep these tyres under temperature. You think it'd be very easy to with that long long start finish straight, but you put so much pressure on the brakes that it is very difficult to keep these tyres under wraps. Reflection on the back of his championship rival, as things stand, I think they're pretty much level on points if the race finished as it would. Obviously, Equad would have to then apply his 3-second penalty. That would drop him nearly outside the dropping down behind Marsky. But we are still a long way from the end. 60 laps still to go. Got to be 59 laps to go. As Reflection on the back of his championship rival on arguably the better tyre now, the hard tyres proving to be pretty decent, especially if your name isn't Jenna, because if your name is Jenna, your medium tyres were clearly on death's door. Reflection has a lot of back to play. Reflection, I think, he's come slightly better at his ERS management. I remember earlier in the season they'd constantly be flashing because he constantly had no battery. He's becoming better at saving it. He's about to be potentially becoming better on terms of in-track position. But he's on the back of these two. Now, of course, Jenna is going to get a fantastic undercut, especially on Camaro and Reflection, given that, of course, he is on fresh hard tyres. But obviously these guys are going to have a massive tyre delta too here, and they will be able to use the medium tyres as well later in the race, which obviously inherently quicker. I don't mind explaining F1 like you're all 3 years old, but it's always good to remind you just to make sure people know and they're all on the same level playing field. Jenna has pass vintage, so he's climbing up positions as we speak. Climbing up from that pit stop past the Mercedes, and he has now quite a nice bit of clear track ahead of him before he gets on the back of Ginger Age. Speaking of clear track, Reflection, it doesn't have a clear track. He has a Haas in front of him, and that Haas is starting to squirm. Those tyres, those medium tyres, are starting to overheat. This could be a pattern throughout the race we could be seeing here. Potentially the medium tyres overheating. I think that's what did Dinner in more than anything, and it could be what is about to do Equaz in. Equaz will have DRS, but he does have a Mercedes bearing down on him. That Mercedes probably a little less draggy than the Haas. The Haas is flashing, Reflection is flashing as well. I think Reflection just needs to wait one more lap, because Equaz was right on the edge of being losing DRS to Camaro, though Camaro has been caught up. That's straight powerful. I think we do have some drivers potentially running lower spec downforce. So as I said, normally in real life, you run a barn door for a rear wing because you have such as the air altitude. Of course, this is a Codemasters produced, EA published Formula 1 game, and well, yeah, no, that's too much detail, guys. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. As Reflection on the back of the Haas, all harvesting, of course, that battery, trying to get back up to a high level. RTP up 6th after Legend, who has pitted. The Legend has gone back onto the medium tyres, so that's interesting. He's gone for a second stint on the mediums, so clearly he only wants to have hards, and he wants to save those hards for as long as possible. R2 Beat climbed up after a disappointing qualifying where he would have been a lot higher than he was, but he made that mistake. He's up 4 places. I mean, 2 of those are pit stops, but he's still looking good at the moment, although he's nowhere near these cars in front of him, so he won't be getting any benefit of DRS, or even probably a slipstream at that. If it is a slipstream, it will be minimal at best. The medium line's already starting to call it quits on their tyres. We saw Equaz sliding out of the Peltada out to that final corner. Listen, Wiley again into the pits as well on those medium tyres. Medium tyres not even doing 15 laps. I mean, as I said, that 2-stop is looking increasingly difficult. 15 laps on a set of mediums gets you to 30 laps. You then got to try to do 40 laps on a set of hards. So I think, unless people have chosen the harder tyre set, we will not be seeing. We'll be seeing potentially a 3-stop race, which might be the first actually. Obviously, we had a 3-stop race earlier in this year, which was at Hungary, which was obviously forced. But we might actually have a. As there's the yellow flag, that is Liam, who's crashed, I think, entering the pit lane. Yes, he has. Liam crashed entering the pit lane, and he's into the pits through the front wing. Is he trying to get himself disqualified? He slows right into the pit lane. No, it is a pit quit from Liam. which could really affect the drivers because they're about to come onto the start and finish straight, and there could be a yellow flag. That's Liam, unfortunately, out of the session after first DNF. Not sure if that crashed into the pit lane on purpose, he's trying to end his race like that, or if he just simply misjudged the pit entrance, which is possible. The car has been cleared, green flag racing is underway. So that is a net positive, that the drivers won't have to contend with the yellow flag that will stop them from overtaking. Isn't going to be overtaking on this lap because Ekwas is having to obviously deploy his battery to defend from reflection, and that is inadvertently putting him onto the back of the Alpine. Reflection, again, not pushing after the Haas. Haas passing into turn 1. Of course, neither of these guys really can afford a DNF at this point, because although Kieran is mathematically still in charge of the championship, he's still a bit of an outside contender. But of course, 2 championship contenders DNF and Lucas Percy not raced tonight. That would give Kieran quite the tasty close of the championship. I said we do have double points for the last round in Abu Dhabi. He is currently he's 100. He is 136 points with Kieran behind reflection, which is not bad. 136 points, 4 rounds. You need quite a I think it is, as I said, still mathematically possible, purely because Abu Dhabi is double points. That's the only thing that I think is keeping him really in quality points and race points, which I'm sure he plays better. But it is obviously a higher amount of points will be available. And if these two crash, that would really throw him into contention. So yes, there are 4 rounds to go, well 5 if this is right. 5 rounds, 135 point, no, why did I get 135? 30. Anyway, Ekwas has passed Kamara, so I'm trying to do maths and failing miserably. After beats got past Vestiaire, these two are swapping positions. But Ekwas back into the podium positions. This does give Reflection a potential opportunity to strike, whilst the Alpine has no DRS. Potentially gives them a good chance to get past. Nope, the Alpine burns out the corner. Reflection does not. So these days, Reflection being very passive at the moment, does not want to get into a kerfuffle of the cost of the front wing or a DNF, and the DNF for either championship players at this stage in the championship would not be championship over. It's not like real life, it wouldn't be championship over, but it would be a significant dent in their ability given how closely matched they've all been throughout this season. As I said, the championship has already changed hands twice in the last 2 weeks, so neither can risk a bad result or worse, a DNF. So hopefully both of them can keep it clean. I think that's why I see Reflection a little bit more reserved. He's not going for it, he's not pushing on, he's not making potentially what could be a dangerous lunge. He's just playing it slowly. We're still quite in the early stages of this race. We're about to head on to lap 17. We are just about a quarter of the way through, we're just over a quarter of the way through this race. He does not need to do anything stupid yet. But whilst these guys are fighting, after beat in that Alpine, the second Alpine, very much now coming into play. That gap was 2 seconds a few laps ago. It's now down to 1.3. Of course, that's going to shoot up a bit now that these guys have DRS each other. But if Kamaro and Ekwas start fighting, which they might be about to, oh no, Kamaro does not. He lifts off a lot into turn 1. Doesn't want any of this smoke, or did he? Look, he thought about that. The Alpine really thought about that one. But no, nothing doing from there. He's going to make the lunge into turn 4. No, he stays behind again. Just important something to note. Obviously, Kieran is running away with it as Kieran does, but Cam not really ditching these guys. 2.5 seconds into the gap. It's not running away with it at the moment. The club not guaranteed this one to yet. So yeah, let's see with V-Club 1-2, which is very much warm them up to constructors. It will put them, we get them past McLaren and P7, so that it would be a fantastic result for the team. Obviously, quite a lot to go. And hello, I said the gap was closing. R2 Beat has pulled himself onto the back of this train. Some fantastic pace from R2 Beat. He's on the back of this train, and his boyfriend Vestiaire is here as well. So Vestiaire has pace. He's been on the podium this year as Ekwas pits from 3rd position. And here comes Reflection. He's decided now is the time to strike. Kamara doesn't have DRS, but he won't have a slipstream. But Kamara pulling a little bit ahead with the straight line speed of that Alpine. Potentially going for quite a low downforce setup. So Reflection went for it, couldn't quite get it done. Now where is Ekwas going to come out? He's picking onto a set of hards. Going to come up behind his teammate. luckily for him, while he's also pitted. So he can come out in P15, quite a way off the back of his own teammate and off Jenna. Of course, he did that very early undercut. Now he's stuck in a bit of a train behind Jay Higgs. I don't think he's going to be behind Jay Higgs, though, for very long. Is Jenna in the Williams? What's he going to be able to do? Ooh, it's a bit tight. Higgs is on the outside line. Jenna has all the better tyres. He's going to get the move done on the McLaren. He has the better tyres, got a bit more of braking power. Mercedes forced to relent there. Jenna up P10, and he's only got Knowlesy in front of him. He clears Knowlesy. He doesn't have a DRS train to worry about until he reaches Vestiaire in P6. He's still over behind him. Now, Kamara Racer is in a bit of a pickle here because he's no longer got some tasty DRS from Equaz in front of him. He does not have a car to pull him along. And he also has Reflection, who, as I said, has actually become quite good at saving battery. So, I'm not saying Kamara's about to get overtaken, but there is a very high chance he's about to get overtaken here. And I think Reflection will be quite happy to relieve him of that podium position, especially now that his championship rival has pitted. Reflection might be able to pull away with some clean air, and he gets well past the Alpines before they even get anywhere near the braking zone. And RTB now on the back of his team, as I said, RTB with some fantastic pace just to be able to close up to cars that had DRS on each other. I know they may not be going super quick, there may be a bit of fighting, but RTB has done a fantastic job. I did a done past Knowlesy. Dinner now well clear of that DRS train. Mushroom has passed Hings. Hings is falling down the order. Hings is on the wall. Hings is in the wall and is potentially with a bit of wing damage. And he's tied on track. Whoopsie daisy, that's going to get him in trouble. But yeah, I don't know how he's done that. He must have made contact with someone. Someone's come across, or he's come across, and he has lost his front wing. And no one hits him. Thank God McLaren ghosted. Otherwise, that would have been. So that's Hings out. That is Mercedes not scoring again, and that could put them at risk of losing P2 in the constructors. And he's in trouble because he will he pit and quit on track, and that is it's frowned upon to pit and quit in the first place. Pitting and quitting on track, whee! You are gonna get a slap on the wrist, and probably another area that I won't mention just to make sure we don't get demonetised. Not that we are monetised. But Reflection now. He's pulled ahead of Kamara Racer. I said if he got ahead of Kamara Racer, he might be able to break that gap, and he has. He's in fact closing in on Cam, and Kamara Racer now is going to have his teammate for company as well. And I wonder if we're going to see some team orders from Alpine here. Maybe RTB at this stage in the race with the better tyres, and that Alpine is flashing. So that is going to be team orders down at Alpine. Lets him go. He should be cleared off of Vestiaire. That Vestiaire shouldn't get a move on him into turn 1, and he won't. So that is a very smart play there from the Alpines. Kamara gets to save some battery to help defend, and he also gets his teammate go, who is very quick at this stage of the race. So we do have a couple of drivers started on the hards who are absolutely flying now, at least compared to their contemporaries on the hards. Someone else is flying is Ginna. Ginna is absolutely pushing out there as Vestiaire does in fact go for Kamara Racer. Kamara Racer, I thought he'd have the battery to fend off the Aston Martin, but he doesn't. The Aston Martin has given it a good go, but he's unfortunately unsuccessful. Well, that has pretty much dropped Kamara off the back of RTB immediately. So that is probably going to make Vestiere's life a little easier. Once they get down to the start finish straight next time round, and RTB not far away from the DRS of Reflection. RTB coming alive at the towards the end of his hard stint. Well, we assume the end can't be too far away. Yeah, RTB is very much on pushing him. Look at that, he's favored in the third sector. So this Alpine, we know it's good chassis in real life, and potentially that's reflected in the race by having some good natural downforce. Tends to lag a little bit in the straight. He will have DRS on the car ahead, but he's not exactly going to be close to the car ahead of Vestiaire. So is going to be close, and Kamara Racer is already flashing going down the start finish straight, and Vestiaire is up and through into P5 for the Aston Martin. Absolutely fantastic job there. Helped a lot by keeping on the back of RTB, and RTB dragging him up into up, and he's making good of it. While at the moment, RTB absolutely rapid out there in that Alpine, and Reflection did close the gap a bit to Cam, but I think Cam is now starting to respond with a bit of pace of his own. Obviously not quite as in control as his teammates, but still a healthy gap to the cars behind. He's carving his way through this field. Equaz is a bit stuck a bit with the DRS train. Well, not quite so much anymore. He hasn't overtaken Mushroom, but he is stuck behind his teammate Knowlesy, and to be fair, Mad Max might be on the back of the stars pretty soon. So Equaz, a little bit of traffic. He's not what he would have wanted. He wants to really bring these hard tyres out while they're fresh. Once he has that massive tyre delta over the cars ahead, or Knowlesy has just dropped out DRS range, I think the cars ahead a little bit. Look at this, Equaz is being held up. He's nearly pushing Sauber through to sector 2. I think he's probably going to get moved on the run to the stadium section. he does pulls to the left, around the outside, and I think Knowles will fight that one too hard, and he doesn't. So Equard's making position, but not easily, and he's quite far behind Gino, who's also did that very early undercut, ditched his mediums very early for the set of hard tyres. As RTB has passed reflection into turn 1, that's not great for reflection, but I'm sure with RTB's pace at the moment, if he can keep up with the Alpine, he'll probably be in a very strong position. Knowles must have both in the pits, their medium tyres are done after 20 laps, so we can get 20 laps out of these medium tyres. We are just, some people are struggling to do so. So, I mean, the hard one is if they have another set of hards, could go a pit in about 10 laps time. If they don't have another set of hards, then, well, they throw the pit now if they have another set of hards. They can do another, there's only 25 laps in each set, and they're going to set mediums to the end. Or if they don't, they have to go another at least 10 laps on this compound. They're all changing around at the back. Legend fighting Styles, he has to get through because Styles is otherwise going to be a bit more of a problem. And I think we'll see Equard's after what he did to Knowles. That's pretty much push Styles through section 2. Styles still on those hard medium tyres he's starting the race with. And Equard's is again starting behind the McLaren, who is going to have DRS on Legend, but I don't think it's going to be able to do that much for him. Is Equard going to make the lunge into the stadium section? No, he's going to be too far back on this occasion. Styles looking pretty likely to lose DRS to the cars ahead anyway, given his tyre offset. Reflection just about kept up with RTB in this lap. RTB though is carved into that lead that Cam had over them, Marsky into the pits. So again, good job from Marsky to keep those medium tyres alive. Styles, the only driver now left on the medium tyres he started the race on. He's going to have DRS on the cars ahead, which will make Legend's life even harder. Legend might have to go for a bit of a dive into turn 1. He's trying to push the battery as hard as he can. He's going to go for the lunge. He is on the fresher tyres. Styles sees him coming, gives him room, and not the easiest move for the Haas, but it's a move he has done and made nonetheless. And now he's on the back of Legend and Mad Max, both of whom have pitted, although he has the best tyre life out of both of them. Mad Max 5 seconds off the back of Jenna. Jenna not a million miles away from catching up to the people he was fighting with earlier. Speaking of fighting, we're about to have a fight for P2. Cam has had a very comfortable lead and hold over P2. But after beat, I don't know what the Alpine is doing. Whatever it's doing with those hard tyres, it is working because he has carved his way through the field. Reflection goes quickly into the stadium section. He's carved his way through the field, carved his way up and into potentially just about into the DRS of the V car, who's had a very strong hold over P2 for most of this race. So whatever RTB is doing with those hard tyres like it, and they like it a lot. He's now on the back of the V car, so we could be about to see a change for the positions. Obviously, I don't think this lap, I think RTB only just was able to slip into the DRS of the V car. It might be the end of this lap, onto the next one, where we see anyone shaping up for a move, but nonetheless, still very well. Vessier has not been able to keep up with RTB anymore. He's got Kamara still for measure. These two might be working together because Gina is charging after them, although Gina is obviously on fresh tyres. Ginger picks up 3 seconds, and he's going to close naturally. But the tyre delta now, compared to like the people on the old mediums, his hard's only 10 laps fresher, which again, nice tyre delta, good advantage to have. Apologies for the background noise. But it's, I don't know, it depends how much he closes on these guys, and if he does, he has to try and get past both of them, which could be a bit of an issue. RTB though, he's having no issues. He has fantastic pace compared to those on the same age tyres. Of course, they're going to be fast cars on track, but those probably pitted as he loses the rear into the braking zone of the same section. That might have been a bit of brown pants moment for him. But whatever RTB is doing, those hard tyres seeming to like it quite a lot. As they round the Pelotard. He hasn't had the best exit though. Probably going to be looking maybe a bit more behind than he is going to be looking forward. Reflection right on the back of him. Of course, that's the thing, when you're using your ERS defensively, you're also potentially using it aggressively if you're behind a car like RTB is here. RTB not going for it yet. Oh, we've got a bit deep into turn 1. Is that going to give Reflection enough of a chance? Doesn't look like it. So RTB, I think he's doing really well. He is doing incredibly well on those hard tyres. But a couple of mistakes trying to creep in. Maybe he's pushed them now a bit too hard to catch up to Cam, and we could be seeing the consequences of that as Lewis O'Reilly passes Styles, who is still trundling around on the tyres he started this race on, which, considering their mediums, are probably feeling pretty pants about now. But maybe he could be trying a one-stop, or at least a very aggressive two-stop. Equard can pass Mad Max. He's fighting up into 8th. So 6.5 seconds though off the back of Jinner, who's posting on to Marvesa and Vestia at a rate of knots. But at this rate, Jinner's going to break his second top for the leaders make their first. There are no signs of wanting to pit any time soon. Again, a little bit cautious. He's not quite got the braking right into that corner yet for the last couple of laps, but he's looking strong as I said in that Alpine. Legend picks up 3 seconds for track limit troubles, which to be fair, given how bad KOTOR was last week, and given the fact that this is also a track very easy to get countries, I'm surprised we don't have more at this stage in the race. Well, not that could be about to be an overtake here for P3. Reflection right up Cam's rear end. As I said though, Cam goes right on the back of Beaton goes right on the back of Cam because, well, Beaton's going to have to use his EOS, which is going to, anyway, I don't know. Come On Racer has pitted though, he's really ditched those hard tyres, he's gone to another set of hard tyres. So, Come On Racer has put the hardest tyre set, which will probably see him, these hard tyres now will see him well into probably lap 50 and beyond, and he can probably go for 7 minutes to end this race. So, Come On Racer looking likely to be on the 2 seconds top out. In a really good position actually, he's 5 seconds behind Styles, but he's well kept masking, so Come On Racer, one to watch at this stage of the race. Another one to watch, of course, is R2 Beat, who maybe because he's in the dirty air of Cam, is starting to struggle a bit with dirty air sliding, high temperature, potentially skyrocketing a bit. R2 Beat, he can do. I mean, it's difficult in this position because you don't really want to be leaking the train. Of course, you get clean air. That's also another thing that can be affecting these guys. Of course, in this year's game, if you're behind a car, close behind another car for a extended period of time, your engine temperature starts spiking. Once your engine temperature spikes into the pits, comes reflection. Once your engine temperature spikes, it can be very difficult to A, get it down, and B, it also quite badly affects your straight line speed. But reflection into the pits, Vestia into the pits, Marsky with a 3 second. And reflection is onto another set of the hard tyre, so he too is with the higher tyre compound, which is a wise choice there. As the Aston goes through him, he's going to be taken by Equaz, Vestia onto mediums. Now, where is reflection going to pop himself out? Is he going to come out ahead of Hungry Stardom? I'm sure he would like to. I think he is. Yes, he is. He's up, getting up to racing speed. Vestia, though, isn't going to come out ahead of Hungry Stardom, who's still trundling around on those 3-6 up on mediums. Fair play to him. I am Terminal Tyre saving for this year's game, so I probably would have been really done in for by Styles. So well done to him for keep going. The Reflection has got ahead. He's not that far off the back of Legend, who's not that far off the back of Lewis and Riley, who is quite far off the back of Equaz. So Reflection has lost a lot of time to Equaz, but he will have that tyre delta, tyre advantage of 9 laps, and I'm sure he will be looking to use those to close up to the back of Legend. Especially when Legend's tyres are the same age. So he has pitted. He can try and undercut R2B and Cam, which could work quite nicely. R2B has just about lost the DRS range there to Cam, so he's not going to get the advantage. Are either of them going to respond? Yes, Beat is in. Beat is responding, so Beat into the pit lane. And we'll see how this does for him. I think he'll probably come behind Reflection, who is, although stuck now behind Legend. So this could be critical. He's stuck now behind a slower car. Beat into his pit box. It's medium for the Alpine driver. Alpine team service him nicely. There goes Equaz. There will go Lewis O'Reilly. Or will he? Yes, he will. The way it's Reflection. Reflection's got DRS. He's already passed Legend by the time they reach the DRS zone. And there on the right is the Alpine. The Alpine is going to lose out to Reflection. Not by much though, and Legend though critically has come out ahead of the Alpine, so Reflection is able to undercut R2 Beat, but I think that undercut could have been bigger if he didn't get stuck behind Legend. He's now got to go after Lewis O'Reilly, whose tyre delta is very similar in terms of general size. Out front there, neither V-car looking like they want to pit anytime soon. Obviously, Pete down to them when they want to pit. There's no restriction rules or telling you everything. So Cam looking likely to be undercut here by his rival Reflection on the back of Lewis and Riley. Already Legend has R2 Beat breathing down his neck. These guys need to clear the traffic ASAP and then start getting after those that undercut them big time, and also to be able to maximise the undercut of the cars ahead. Nope, neither V-Club is pitting, so they are going to be, well, Cam's going to be undercut by Beat and Reflection, and Beat has very importantly got past Legend. Reflection has not. I think that could give R2 Beat potentially enough. Is it going to be enough to get potentially into the DRS? No, Beat just about misses out, so that does give Reflection a little bit of extra breathing room, and I'm sure he's going to be quite an easy overtake for the Mercedes driver. Blasting down start finish straight. DRS open. Vessier fastest man on the track on those fresh medium tyres, no surprise there. Reflection well past the Aston Martin before he even gets to the braking zone of turn 1. So Reflection P5, RTB though will be one to watch for the Mercedes driver because he's not that far behind. B on the medium tyres, which whilst seem to have been fairly brittle. I think it's fair to say be fairly brittle, at least on some drivers' cars. We are still seeing, well, Hungry Stars has now pitted, but Hungry Stars got a very nice long stint out of those medium tyres. So, yeah, we'll wait and see how it all filters out. But Reflection now is 7 seconds behind his championship rival of Equars, but with 9 lap fresher hard tyres. We'll see what the Mercedes driver can do now he's in clean air. Don't have to worry about drivers on slower tyres. We'll see if he can close the gap to the Haas. Speaking of the gap, is Cam going to pit? Kieran isn't. Cam is still sticking it out. So will we see potentially a one-stop attempt from the V-Cubs? This will be notoriously difficult. But I mean, unless Gina gets past both of them, they still have a pit stop. They'll have a pit stop to spare because Gina obviously is on a committed 2-stop at best. But I think the one-stop, I don't think it's going to work out because Reflection is down in clean air. RTB is about 2 seconds away from being in clean air. And they will be undercutting Cam, and I don't think the one-stop will work. I don't think the medium tyres have enough strength in them. I mean, I know Star's got 26 laps out of them, but for that would mean Cam and Kieran need to do at least 35 laps on, 45 laps on these hard tyres, and just judging from that flick of wheel spin alone, that might be quite a stretch for both of them. Not to mention the fact that probably by the time, given the speed of the other drivers, at least with Cam, there will probably be at least a Mercedes, Haas, Williams and Alpine on his posterior, and potentially even an Aston Martin before long if he tries to do a one-stop, because although he does have a pit stop over those guys, they're going to probably be 1 to 2 seconds a lot quicker, especially once his tyres hit that 60% cliff. Kieran continuing on those hard tyres out front. Is his teammate going to pit? Wait and see, doesn't look like it. No, I genuinely think they will try and do a one-stop, which if they pull it off, I tip my hat, but I don't know how successful that's going to be. Speaking of success, we have a Haas that's going slowly. It is Legend who is... I can't see if he's got any wing damage. He spun it in sector 2. I'm seeing a full front wing from the helicam shot, but that is going to mean he's on tyres at probably the same temperature as the sun after he beat fastest man on track. Also now in the DRS range of Reflection. It probably will be Reflection's best interest to let RTB go and potentially let RTB go and then potentially try giving DRS to get dragged along, but given the pace of that Alpine, given the pace of RTB all evening and the fact that he's on much quicker tyres, sheesh, that could be quite an ask for the Mercedes driver, but we'll wait and see how it all shakes out. But yeah, passes Lewis O'Reilly into that. That's not a difficult overtake. I'm sure Lewis would have made it as easy as he could for his teammate. And if anything, if his teammate, if he can hold up Kamara to the point where Kamara loses DRS, I'm sure that will make Vessier's life even easier, and the Aston Martin team's life easier in general. Reflection is closing. I said the gap was 7.5. Once he got past the slower cars, he is now less than 6 behind his championship rival. And these guys have got a way to go on their hard tyres at the moment. A long way to go. If we are doing a 2-stop, we are looking at probably Equinox started medium. He's got one set of hards. He's probably got to do at least another 10, maybe 15 laps on these hard tyres. And if he doesn't have another set of hard tyres, he's definitely got to do at least another 15. As RTB, I think, is about to probably make quite an easy overtake, and he does well past the Mercedes before turn 1. Very nice high top speed there from him, and after beating up on the way, I think Legend's done it again. He has done it again, and he's pitted on. He's on old mediums. He's gone back onto his first set of mediums, and he's put it in a wall, which is remarkably unsurprising given the fact he was on old mediums. I don't want him to, obviously, but I fear we may be having our second retirement. Our third retirement of the day. No one's crashed out, but they have crashed, then crashed out emotionally. I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I hope you all agree. But Legend is, I'm sure, I don't know why he's gone back onto a set of mediums that had already done a little bit of life, but he's back into the pits. He keeps going. Nope, he does not. So keep going, good for him. He's And we have 3 retirements as well. Kieran, lap 33 out of 71. Cam is continuing on potentially. We'll wait and see. I mean, these guys could be just doing a really aggressive two-stop where they basically slap on 2 sets of mediums and then they just do like 10 laps on them. But that would require them still to do another 20 laps of these cars. But as they're very aggressive two-stop, when as soon as the medium tires start to die off, they hit pits. R2 Beat, not the fastest man on the track. He's put out Reflection's DRS. Reflection, unfortunately, has been dropped by R2 Beat, but I'm sure, given another 6 or 7 laps, he will be on better tyres. Anyway, as the Legend's very slow AI trundles down the pit lane. So Reflection down in 6th place, but these guys are catching Equaz hand over 5th. That gap is coming down rapidly. And Equaz isn't a million miles away from Jinnah either. And Jinnah is right on the back of Cam already. So this is all going to get, I think, about to see, give it another 2 or 3 laps. We're going to be having some major kick-off battles here. They're all converging. So you have the really old tyre runners, Kieran and Cam. The older tyre runners, Jinnah and Equaz. And the young time runners, Reflection and R2 Beat, and Vessier. I'm not going to count out Vessier or Camaro because they are still there or thereabouts. So interesting. But Jinnah has got off the back of Cam. So if Cam is doing a one-stop, doesn't really matter anymore because Jinnah, if Jinnah overtakes him, Jinnah's made up that pit stop gap anyway. So I'm not sure what the plan is here for Cam. Well, Jesus, how he's keeping going, I do not know. Those tyres look like hell, and he's had an absolutely horrific exit out of the last corner. So Cam. Brave, but I would potentially be changing that word to foolish, given the fact that that rear end of the V-Cub looks about as tame as a wild horse. In fact, I've seen tamer wild horses in my life than I have that rear end of the V-Cub. I should say bull, wouldn't I? Bull would be a far better analogy, given it's a racing bull. And it's bulls literally on the back of that car. Anyway, we will ignore that fact that I missed a blatantly obvious and very easy to see reference there. We'll forget about that. No one cares about that. But yeah, R2 Beat catching the back of Equaz, and as I said, Reflection is there, right there in the. I was going to say Williams. That's not Williams. That's Mercedes. Power Williams, but it's not Williams. And I think Equaz might be having a Alpine on his back. I was going to say not quite this zone, but by the time they hit the start-finish straight, I wouldn't be surprised if Equaz is got a friend in his DRS zone. And so they're all kind of converging with each other now. Kieran is still obviously chilling out front, 11 seconds clear of his teammate. But yeah, Cam is into the pits. I think he's slowing down. No, he's not. I thought he was slowing down. Cam, 21.9 for him. Equaz did a 21.0, so 9 tenths quicker. R2 Beat didn't see and did but I mean, Equaz pulled nearly a second out of Cam that lap alone. So yeah, that just shows you the pace of those fresh tyres. Did Beat to get DRS? He did not. He just about missed out, I think. That's not going to do him much good because he's stuck behind the Haas, and that's going to get that Reflection back into his DRS zone. That's going to be a bit of a pain in the backside. Car Racer and Vestiaire have decided once again that they'd rather have no one else more in this world than each other, because they're continuing to stick right with each other on track. Because I think they were doing a couple of weeks ago, at least Vestiaire was doing it with someone where they just could not be separated at all from the duration of the race. But Car Racer, he is still on the back of the Aston Martin, which at the moment isn't probably affecting him too much because Vestier's on relatively fresh mediums, so it wouldn't be much time loss as if Vestier's on 20-lap-old medium tyres. Car Racer won't be going very quickly if that's the lines he is taking through Sector 2. And look at that. Reflection's pretty much into the DRS of Beat, so Beat now needs to make a move, because otherwise he's going to come under even more pressure from Reflection. Is Cam going to pit? No, Cam is continuing on. Jinnah is right there. So Jinnah about to potentially fly through onto the second position on the rostrum. R2 Beat though, speaking of flying, but I think probably if this car had wings, he'd be about to be taking left off, because he is flying down the start-finish straight. DRS open, hits 200 miles an hour. Reflection is also at 200 miles an hour, but he's a lot further back. R2 Beat is well past the Haskell, they even reached the braking zone of turn 1. R2 Beat up to P4, and he's only 3.5 off the back of Jinnah. Less now, because he'll get DRS down this corner as well. Well, has passed Vestiaire, which I feel like I'm going to be saying a lot, especially in reverse. And Equaz sees the Alpines disappear into the sunset, and has his championship rival now for company, which I'm sure is probably the last person Equaz wanted to see in his mirrors, but that is the way the cookie has crumbled this evening. Reflection on the back of his championship rival, which means that at the moment seems that he looks to extend his championship lead at the moment. Obviously, not only because he's about to take his championship rival, but also because his championship rival has a 3-30 penalty. I have just noticed, while sitting on board there with Reflection, we do have some clouds gathering over the Autodromo Rodriguez circuit. I think it's a bit longer than that. I thought it was. But yeah, we do have some clouds gathering. Rain clouds? As Jenner fumbles his way through Sector 3. It's worked. He's in the DRS race, finally in the DRS range of Cam. As didn't go for 3 seconds, Sean at this rate will be joining me in the commentary box because he may be about to get disqualified. I'll look at the penalties. 3 for Jenner and Equaz, 6 for Camaro, 3 for Vestiaire. Way there goes Jenner. He sold a little bit of the dummy there to Cam, but quite early though. Equaz is a really good run, by the way, guys. Cam fighting this one quite hard. Does keep ahead. But he's going to have a second bite of the cherry into turn 3. The V-carb is flashing. He's going to lunge it up the inside. No, Jenner stays back for now. But that's a little bit deep there from Cam. Oh, but Jenner's taking too much curb on the inside. Nothing they can do there. This fighting is going. Look at that. R2B has literally pretty much halved that gap in the first sector alone. So yeah, this is going to be fun because we now have a lot, as I said, a lot of cars converging on each other. But even Equaz technically has better tyres than Jenner, and they all have a lot better tyres than Cam. So this is going to be a very fun DRS train, I think. Although DRS train hasn't quite fully formed yet, but he's about to, because I think that Cam is about to plummet down the order, given the 4 cars chasing him are on the superior tyres. Sean has pitted onto a set of hard tyres as well, and he's also about to be lapped by Kieran. Yeah. Anyway, actually no, he's not quite yet. He's come ahead of Kieran, hasn't he? Yes, he has. Jenner now, can he get the run on the V-car? The V-car pits. So Cam has denied us very cruelly today a potentially quite hilarious, cluster of just madness. Jenner though, he's going to come on third from RTB, which I think could be actually just as equally entertaining. Cam is going to go onto a set of the medium tyres. Yes, the medium tyres on. He's going to come out though quite far back. I mean, what's that? Mad Max. Mad Max is through. Lewis O'Reilly has gotten through. He's going to come out just clear of Mark. Yes, him down to P10, although he's going to have incredible tyres compared to everyone else. That is unfortunate for him. RT Beat has got back a Jenner, and these lot are about to probably start doing a massive fight. So that is Kieran called it. Look, Cam called it quits on his hard tyres after 37 laps on the medium, which means he's definitely going to stop because he ain't making medium last 74 laps. Even if he made hards last 37, he's not making medium last 34. So that's a 2-stop from I think it's quite an aggressive 2-stop. Sliding a bit. Jenner is harvesting down this straight, and that could be his undoing. Shouldn't RTB go on the inside? No, he thinks better of it. Does RTB on this occasion? Kieran pitted. Kieran just taking it out. RTB is going to lunge up the inside into the hairpin. Oh, he's got it done. I thought he'd have overshot that. But he hasn't. And he's got a full battery as well to help defend him from Jenner. He gets a good exit out of the Peltana, which he does. Just about. He's going to be clear, and I think Reflection's about to make Jenner's day slightly worse. Because they all have actually quite full battery packs, so fair play to them. They're all going to cancel each other out down this straight. Jenner's doing 215, Beat did 204 down that straight for DRS Open, but Beat is not going to take this one lying down, and he's clanged into the side of the Williams. These two fighting a lot. If they're not careful, they're going to about to let Reflection straight through, and I think that is exactly what's about to happen, although Beat has just covered off the Mercedes, and there's a crash, and it's R2B's in the wall. He got pincered between Jenner and Reflection. It's not your ideal way to spend the evening, and he's got wing damage as well. No! R2B falls, he falls. Oh, that is such a shame. He was so quick. Oh, no. That is heartbreaking for R2B. And I think all of us, I think we were just robbed of what would have been a fantastic race-long battle for probably at least a podium, or definitely a podium, probably a win. Kills. Reflection now, I think, yeah, if anyone is not something, he does not want to repeat what just happened to RTB. That is so sad. That was such a good fight, and that's unfortunately been taken from us this evening. Jenner as well has lost a bunch of time to Kieran in doing so. I think he's sliding around these hard tyres. Have hit the cliff. They say the same cliff his medium tyres have hit, and I think he's about to lose 2 positions in 1 lap. He's going to burn the battery, but Reflection's pretty much alongside him, and once they hit the DRS zone, it might be very much game over. Jenna does, as I said, have a fantastic straight line speed in that Williams, but I think he's going to submit here to the superior tyres and Reflection. He might try and hold it around the outside. He brakes late. But the Mercedes are still there. Yeah, Reflection shows him the door a little bit. Says no thank you, and he's up to second place. And Jenna is about to see a Haas as well in his mirrors, which is going to be just as fun. Not. As beat pits again for us at mediums, he's pretty much now forced them to a 3-stop because those mediums are not making it to the end, which is a real shame. And we get 20 laps out of them, we can do last and soft at the end. That's a real shame. Cam has passed Mad Max. So Cam recovering up the grid on those medium tyres. Whilst his teammate refuses still to pit, steadfast in his approach is Kieran. I mean, to be honest, he probably doesn't really want to pit because that means he's going to come out in the class there that is somewhere around Camaro. I mean, yeah, he's continuing to stay out. I'm surprised his tyres are still alive. Is he pitting this lap? He is finally Kieran into the pits on lap 40, and he is going to lose it. I think now the fact that Reflection got past everyone, and Reflection was on such better tyres, it's a no-brainer to pit. You know, you're not gonna. The gap is going to start really crumbling, and it is a set the medium for him. As I said, I could very well see an attempted one-stop here from Kieran. Very impressive if he was able to pull that one off. He does need come up behind Camaro and Vessier, which I don't think will be much of an issue. Is that quite passage, Jenna? Don't think it'll be much of an issue for Kieran. It's actually not that far. His teammates will probably undercut him and give it a couple more laps, which shouldn't be an issue. But if Vessier does keep in Camaro Racers DRS, it might make it a little harder. Vessier has just dropped it to Camaro, probably given the fact now the medium tyres on his car are probably worse. So that probably makes Kieran's job a little easier. But it is now Reflection who leads the Mexican City Grand Prix. He has a 2-second gap over Equine, which is probably going to start growing, given his tyre offset Jenna, who is currently sliding around like Bambi on ice on those hard tyres, who I can imagine will be for pits. Well, if he doesn't set mediums, he's got to wait a while, and he's not set hards, then he'll be pitting that now. But if he doesn't set mediums, then he probably should have pitted so early for those mediums, but he's also probably a better tyre wear. Yeah, it's a conundrum when it comes to Jenna. Evening lads, evening Howsey, how are you? Hope you're having a good one this fine Wednesday eve. I started my new job last week, and I've been doing so much training for it, I don't even know like the day of the week. I know now how to make cocktails and food bites, but I do not know what day of the week it is. I literally got paid to taste wine, eat food, and literally have beers with my mates. Fantastic. If this is what the adult life is like, I love it. Vintage other kits and hard times, they're ahead of Kieran, shouldn't be too much of an issue. In fact, A will go to B, but not a time I think Kieran might be about to try and do Camaro Racer on the same lap he got with Vessier. He did a fantastic exit. We'll have some battery, we'll have some DRS, nice little strip street, and he gets 2 cars on 1 lap. And now he's behind Jenna, which normally is not a bad thing, but Jenna on these tyres, that is probably a little bit scary. Should like a flashing light on the back saying, warning, tyres are dead. Do not have a quick caution. Kieran flying his way through the order on those fresh medium tyres. He might be trying to one-stop, but a very ambitious one-stop at that. He's going to get Jenna down this straight. I don't think he is, or Jenna is harvesting Kieran's out of weight, which is going to cost him a bunch of time, given that Williams is currently about as fun to drive as I imagine the HRTs were back in 2010 and 2011, 2012. Pretty much in Caterham or Lotus or Russia or whatever. But Kieran gets a good exit out the final corner, and he's past the Williams before they even get to the DRS zone. Unfortunately for Jenna, he's been dragged into it as well. So now they see that 4 cars. He is sitting in the slipstream, because I said that Williams has such incredible straight line speed, he could have gone for a re-overtake, but he chose to go 2. And Kieran now going to catch up to the back of Equaz, who will probably get through at the end of this lap or the beginning of the next one. So that 43 of 71, we are flying through this Mexican Grand Prix. We've had no safety cars yet. Both stoppages, 3 DNFs, all 3 of which have been, well, 2 been pit and quits, and 1 was I crashed on entry to turn 1, which doesn't quite have the same ring to it, but it is still just as difficult. Kieran, you can go for a move here. This is brave, but Ekwan's backed out of it. Ekwan could have very much made that a lot harder for Kieran, but he chose not to. So Kieran through, and I can imagine it will not be long before he's up into first, back into the lead of this race. You can see reflection there. Kieran very much. Oh no, he's let Ekwan back. As far as I was aware, that was a perfectly legal opening, unless he made contact with the Haas and he feels bad. That's the only thing I can think as why he's let the Haas back through. Because as far as I know, that was a legal opening. He didn't go off the track and hit him. That's what we have to ask him later on. In fact, sure, that's the from the V Cup. That has unfortunately let Jin invite back into Equaz's DRS, who he just dropped. So not great for Equaz. I got my controller on the floor, which therefore does not help my after he is sliding and climbing away through the field at the rate of knots after his earlier collision with Jin and Reflection. So he's climbing his way back through, but yes, he's very much now scuppered either a very tainted two-stop or a probably more like slightly more aggressive three-stop, where he's still got 12 seconds to catch up to Mad Max, and then even then he's 20 odd seconds off the guys he was legitimately fighting for. And it's a very unfortunate RTB fantastic race. This entire race, especially towards the end of that hard stint, that opening stint on the hards, he was absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, not to be. Kieran has absolutely dissipated into the sunset, not giving a flying cow in the world for these guys. He is going to be on back in reflection probably within I was going to say 3, it's probably 2 laps. And to be honest, you can probably just pull off the one stop, because you can probably then overtake and then just back off and keep his medium tyres alive. Someone who's keeping their tyres alive is Equaz, because now his tyres starting to have serious issues. And look at that, Cam and the other V-Club have now walked up to the show. So quite, I think, an exciting battle for third, as Jinner has forced his way past Equaz, purely based on the fact he has the strength and speed of a hypersonic missile. In fact, I think hypersonic missiles are just a Jinner, because he has terrible oversteer, but pretty decent strength and speed. Is tomorrow to make a London Equaz? No, Cam is as well not able to make a move yet. He's on the best tyres out of all of these guys, so keep an eye on Cam in that beautifully white V-Carb. He will be making some moves pretty soon, we think, because he's on fantastic tyres. And again, Cam, I think with him versus Reflection for P2 in this race, I do think it's very ambitious, but we will wait and see. I've been proven wrong many a time when it comes to strategy. Kamara makes a poor run through sector 2, but nothing Cam can do yet, especially down the straight this short with the car front with DRS and a pretty good side battery pack for good measure. As I said, I've got to say it's really, I don't know, completely brain fired. I completely brain farted of the farted brain. Cam might be about to go. Oh my god, we're about to see. Oh, this could be. Okay, this could be a bit. Oh dear, this could be a bit. So Equaz is through. Cam is through. Okay, there you go. It wasn't actually as bad as. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Because I thought I was about to see 4 wide here. Not quite 4 wide, but Cam looking to try and get past. I've got my controller again, but Cam is through. I need to stop doing that. Some say that's my fault. But we are, yep. Cam is through. We got to make quite easy work of Equaz. Jinner is fighting that those rear tyres like no tomorrow. Maybe Vayne is on the horizon, because I feel like Jinner probably would have pitched off those hards by now if he wasn't waiting for something to happen. I mean, he didn't have to wait for something to happen, because this race has been quite entertaining by itself as it is. Jinner is struggling, no denying that, and Kieran is not struggling, because he is put up the back of Reflection, and I think this is going to be like taking candy from, not even a baby, but a fetus. Not even a fetus, taking he's going to be fucking at the end, Reflection not even fighting. Kieran back into the lead of this race. Would be a ground slam for him today, unlike last week. But he is back into the lead of the race and looking likely to pull away. And this is where I think now wants to become his rival, because he will pull well clear of Reflection, who we know has to pit again. He's done 2 sets of hards. He'll have to run a second medium, which he'll probably waiting around 2 laps to do. Kamara gets past Jinner, and as I said, Jinner, I don't know what Jinner's waiting for, but whatever he is waiting for needs to be good, because he's really struggling. and Cam got past Equaz as well. So really a few scuffles there. Now Cam has an 8-second gap to try and plug to Reflection, but as I said, Reflection has to pit again. But literally by the regulations, he has to pit again. And Cam may or may not. Cam will need to get onto the back of Reflection, and onto the back, right up with him, if not ahead of him, if he's to make this work. Because I think if Cam now tries to do the one stop, Reflection's tyre delta will probably be a lot better. If Reflection holds out for another 5 laps, he will have such a tyre delta on Cam, let alone Kieran, but Kieran's going to win this anyway. But on Cam alone, that I think it would be worth Cam trying to do the one stop. If Kieran can now, Kieran will just keep pulling away from the Mercedes because he's going to on those better tyres. And the only person that can really fight Kieran would be Cam, but obviously that's not much of a fight because Cam is all the way back there and Kieran's on fresher tyres anyway. So Reflection now, his fight, as I said, is with Cam, I think. He's on better tyres than Equaz and definitely way better tyres than Jinnah. And even if those guys pit again, they've got such a gap to make that the undercut would become pretty much inviable, purely based on the fact that Reflection, when he would pit, would have better tyres anyway. So I think we are going to see a fight between Cam and Reflection. Depends how quickly Reflection can get onto the back. Sorry, Cam can get onto the back of Reflection. If it's quite quick, then we could be seeing quite a tussle. But I think Reflection, give it another 3 laps. If he can do 20 laps exactly on his medium tyres, I think he'll be in pretty good stead, which I'm sure he won't be complaining about, especially with that tyre delta. But yeah, we'll move away from the top lot because Kamaro is on the back of Equaz on slightly better tyres. Marsky and Mushroom are fighting. Marsky's just pitted and he's well clear now of the Mushroom. Mushroom, the Red Bull team. Mushroom normally, I know he starts last on purpose, but Mushroom, not really, Red Bull not really having the race. Normally they turn things around in the race, but alas, they are not today, unfortunately for him. Unfortunately for all of them, really. But yeah, Marsky through past Mushroom and see what he can do. Although Knowles up the road is not much on, is not on much older tyres, so we might wait and see. As Equaz into the pits. Equaz in the pits on the half. Into the pit box. And he's on to a pressure at hard tyres, which will take him very easily to the end of the race. Those hard tyres will be very tasty because 22 laps on hards, that's actually quite a short stint on the hard tyres given what everyone else will be going through. So Equaz into the pits for what we will assume will be his final stop bar any last minute safety cars. And he's looking to fight now. I don't think Equaz is really going to have any chance of getting a fight for the podium. I think that is on the Reflection and Cam only, and Cam is not particularly closing in on Reflection that quickly. So Equaz in the pits. Kamara and Jinnah going to respond. Mad Max is now on the back of his teammate, and his teammate lets him go, and Vestier's right there too. Jinnah will not let him go, and if he does, it will be with quite a fight again. So Jinnah still holding on. I think if he want to pit for certain mediums, I'm sure he can now at this point. I'm sure the mediums. I know he had a really bad stint on the first stint when he did 11 laps, but I'm sure at this point Jinnah, you can probably be able to eat him out. It's clouded over a bit. I'm sure the track's cooled down a bit. So Mad Max up to P5. Kamara is Kamara going to respond to Equaz's pit, or is he going to continue on? He is going to continue on. I'll put up the race director just to see. So as I said, both Reflection and Kamara racer have to pit again. Everyone else has done their legal requirement of 2 compounds. It's now down to if they want to or not. So yeah, so Kamara and Reflection have to pit, which we know, but Reflection is actually not losing any time to Cam. So he's pretty safe for now. As I said, if he can last a couple more laps, pit for set mediums, I think he might try and wait for people like Jinnah and Vessier to maybe pit, just to make his life a little easier, because Jinnah's on such old hard tyres, and even Vessier on old mediums. That is going to be really painful to try and pass if he comes up behind them and they haven't pitted. I'm assuming that I would kind of hope Jinnah would be pitting really soon, because those tyres are old, and if he is trying a one stop, then he might deserve to be thrown to a mental asylum. I know Jinnah said I've been quite harsh on him this season commentary wise, and I have, but I try and give him his kudos when he does it. If he tries to do 50 odd 60 odd laps on a set of hard tyres, he might deserve the constructive criticism, we'll say, that I sometimes deliver his way. I don't think he will. I'm sure he is smarter than that. But if he does try it, and if you are listening, Jinnah, please, for the love of God, don't try it. Kumar races into the pits after just 24 laps on his hard tyres. Mad Max continues on. Ginner is being passed, or about to be passed by Vessier. I think even with Ginner's incredible shot on speed, it might be a rather one-sided affair. Here comes Vessier onto the back of the Williams. He's slightly derated in the straight, derated a lot at the end of the straight, see what straight for none. Tight there, but Vessier will have the tight line, although Ginner has very smartly covered that quite defensively well. And actually has quite good exit for his tyres at age, but I said Vessier is also quite old tyres for mediums. Reflection 5 seconds off the back of Kieran, as well. So reflection hasn't been dropped that much, and then he's lost a bunch of time. The mediums, as I said, are quite brittle. It wouldn't surprise me if Reflection pits in a couple of laps' time, and then Kieran just pits just purely to cover him. Kamal Racer has picked up a 3 seconds for track limits, which, given the fact he's on fresh tyres, makes me think he probably approached the corner and went, "Oh my god, I actually have grip," because it can happen. You come out on fresh tyres after doing a long stint on a set of tyres, and you're so caught off by the grip, you actually get a track limits warning because you're so used when you're driving. Like obviously, as a stint goes on, you brake a little earlier. You wait a little earlier to get on throttle. You wait a little earlier. You wait a little later to turn in, because you're expecting the grip not to be there. And then as soon as you put on a set of new tyres, you're sort of like, oh my god, I can suddenly brake a lot later than I was, because you slowly start sort of backing away as the tyre phase goes on. And obviously we've got 3 seconds. We're on to lap 52 of 25. So this race is flying by. We've only been racing for like an hour and a quarter, and we're already on to lap 52. Why is Jenna gone softs? Okay. Right. Because yes, makes sense when there's 19 laps to go to a set of softs. I guess he's going for a 3-stop. But given the fact Liam did like 9 laps on his softs at the start of the race, and the fact Jenna Belly did 11 on the mediums, that is an interesting choice, I should say. Interesting choice. Equaz is on the back of Hungry Star. That's not going to be much of a fight, because it's going to be my tyres a lot better than your tyres. So Equaz on the back of the Clown. I think that'll probably be a move down into... it's a move going on now. That's sector 2. That's a surprise. Equaz, sorry, Hungry Star does not fight that one very much, given the tyre offset between them. Kieran continues on. Reflection continues on. Cam, unsurprisingly, continues on. Mad Max, probably, and Vessier, probably the two that are probably looking likely to pit next. Vessier is about to have RTB on his backside. RTB recovering, as I said, off that crash, which I think would have very much put him in a position to be fighting for the lead. Not the lead, because Kieran killed him. Fighting for a podium. I think we could have seen a 3-way fight between Cam, Beat, and Reflection for the podium. Unfortunately, that collision earlier in the race, unfortunately, did happen, and unfortunately ruined Jim. RTB's chance. I think would have been a fantastic podium given his pace at the end of that first stint, and just in general in the race. But lap 53 of 71, I'm sure those on older hard tyres, such as Mad Max and Reflection and Styles, if they have an unset mediums in the bank, should definitely be thinking about going on to them. And if they have an unset hards in the bank, should probably already be on them, because those hard tyres will be happily making it to the end. I mean, they're probably waiting because medium tyres are quite brittle. So even if you have a bit, like if you have a tyre set of say 3 or 4 laps to the car on hards, chances are by the end of the race, you're probably going to actually be on worse tyres by the end of the race. At least that's what I think. But we'll see. Is Reflection coming in? No, he's continuing on for another lap. Given the fact that he did 4 laps on his hards, he could go for another 13 laps and then literally bolt on instead of softs for like 4 laps. I don't think he will, but it'll be quite funny because Cam isn't really like closing, but it's not like, oh my gosh, Cam's going to be on his back in about a lap or 2. Like, it has been quite gradual from Cam. I think, as I said, that's just because the medium tyres, they just aren't as strong as the hards, and you get to a stage where they basically, no matter what tyre, unless you have a massive tyre offset, you don't really get that, difference. RTB has overtaken Vessier. Vessier has done 27 laps of his medium, so he's done the most laps out of anyone in the mediums this evening. But that's not to show, because RTB has passed him, and I'm assuming Beat will have to pit again, given there's still 60 laps of this race to go. And he has still got to do, he's done 40 laps of these already. We'll look at the penalties, and then we'll look at the positions gained. So penalties, 3 for Vessier, Equaz, 9 for Camaro and Styles, 9 for Ginner. Is that hair or that's a hair. 9 for Ginner, 3 for Lewis O'Reilly, 6 for Knowsley, 3 for Markey, 18 for Ginger Age, and 6 for Finn advantage. And positions gained, obviously not quite fully accurate because we always have some pit stops and overtakes. But Mad Max up 8, RTB up 5, Bestia up 2, Spectre up 5. Hungry Styles up 9, that's what you expect from Styles though. The biggest loser is Jimmer, but obviously he has just pitted, so that is not to be entirely accurate and or believed. RTB now 4 seconds off back of Mad Max. And to be fair, like, he's overtaken Vestiaire legitimately. He might be able to overtake Mad Max legitimately, and if he does so, if he does have to make a third stop, at least he's going to have... RTB is still off some decent points despite his earlier collision. So I'm sure he'll be happy, probably the wrong word, he will be relieved that at least he'll have a decent haul tonight. But RTB pushing on. In this race, 5th place for the Alpine driver. A little way to go this race, but a good recovery drive, and definitely my vote for driver of the day at the moment, just purely based on his recovery and the pace he's shown throughout the day. Like 55 of 71, it's quieting down a bit. We're waiting for the last flurry of pit stops, which will probably be happening from any point now onwards. Kamara has passed Equaz, and at the moment losing more points in the championship to his rival Reflection. Not great for him, but it is what it is. Equaz has said he'll have a few results where he's sort of bottom half the top 10, and then he'll suddenly get like a second or a third, and so it's like, whoa, he's back again. So you know, it will be a swing that Equaz will not be happy to see short term, but I have full faith and full belief that he will make a comeback and be able to claim clause points. I do expect this to go to Abu Dhabi, not only because it's double points or quali and race points. I need to check how that's going to work, because it means that I'm the type of guy that will try and calculate. I will try and calculate like who can still win the championship and all that kind of jang. And I love to calculate A, who can win the championship, B, how the championship can be won, and C, I also quite like the constructors. I know Haas can't win it tonight because, as I said, I need to work out what the quality of points are. I don't know if it's going to be literally you get 30 points for pole, or if it's like 20 points for pole, or maybe it's 10 points for pole, you know. So, I mean, maybe Knowles, he doesn't know. Knowles, if you're listening, do let me know if you do know after this race, just so I can start trying to calculate drivers standing, like who can win what and where. Please, thank you, darling. Yeah, it's quite quiet out there. Equaz and Kamara are fighting, but I do expect Equaz to come out on top on that one, just because I think with the amount of race left, I think he will generally have better tyres on those hards than Kamara, and also Kamara does have 9 seconds worth of penalties. But that's not the point I was making. Just point to note that's not the point I was trying to make. But just because Kamara has a lot more penalties to his name, Cam is such a now lose down to Reflection, so medium tyres not doing him any kind of good. Okay, I'll do some memories. One con of living where I do. We do get to red bike. So into turn 1 late we go. Equaz on the back of Vestiaire. It's probably quite easy to take given the tie difference between the two drivers. Up and through into 6th position, and I'm sure Ryan will be looking to get through on the Aston as well. Again, tyre offset, so he'll have DRS. Let's see if the Alpine can make the move done on the run down towards 10-4. That exit to Vestiaire. It is going to be done. Come on, racer to the right. DRS open. Doesn't even get. I think there's going to be much fight Vestiaire. Let's go. I'm fascinated to see what Vestiere's plan here. I don't think he's going to try and finish the race in those mediums, but I could be wrong. And it's raining. It is raining. That is what they were waiting for. That is why Jenna chose softs. Jenna, I apologise for slagging you off picking softs, but it is raining, ladies and gentlemen. You can see rain on the halo. So there is going to be a twist in the tail here at the Mexico Grand Prix. That is what everyone is waiting for. That is why we are seeing extortionate lengths of stints, because it is raining. The heavens have decided that it is time to have some fun with 30 laps to go, and it is raining. Already quite a lot of splashes on the halo, so it'll be fun to watch who is going to dive onto the intermediates. Will we have to go to intermediates, and will it get any wetter than this? Oh, fascinating. Vintage getting out of the way there. That's McLaren going wide into the hairpin, getting out of the way of the leaders. Not that obviously he has to because he's got blue flags, but also because driving through a ghosted car through a corner can be the ultimate distraction, and trust me, it's really annoying when that happens. But we do have rain, so there's going to be a bit of pressure on drivers, because we know that some drivers have incredible straight line speed, and if you take DRS out of the equation, that may make some people's lives a lot harder if they find themselves stuck behind a certain driver. It is raining a fair amount now, and already looking a little bit slippery, although that could be just Vestiaire on 31 lap on mediums. It is quite difficult to tell the difference. That's very possible. With Vestiaire on the back of Kamara Racer, and Knowsley has got past Lewis and Riley, but the rain gods, as Lewis and Riley, I think a bit caught off guard there by Knowsley, Racing Gods have decided that it was too easy for the race to be fully dry and everyone to do just 2 stop strategies, for it is raining, and raining heavily. So is it going to get wet enough for intermediates? And if it doesn't get wet enough for intermediates, well, Reflection has to pit. Reflection is required legally. He has not fulfilled the requirement to use 2 compounds. He has to pit for mediums or softs. Of course, Inters start coming into play. He'll pit for Inters regardless. But that is fascinating. Also, I just noticed how dirty Knowsley's car is. He's been off road a bit today, Knowsley, because that Sauber's floor and side pod is grimy. Wow, that is a lot of grime on that car. Let's see, who's on new tyres? Kamara, what's his lap time looking like? He's down 4 seconds. Okay, so the track is getting worse because Kamara is on 8 lap on mediums. Vestiaire into the pits. Are we going to see into for Vestiaire? This will be critical to determine. He is the guinea pig. It is intermediates. The green coloured tyres onto the green Aston Martin. Now we need to see what his lap times look like. If he starts gaining on people and getting on them a lot, then we will start to see people coming into the pits. His teammates in as well. Let's see what he looks like compared to those around him. This is going to be critical. Everyone will now be keeping an eye on the Aston Martin to see, the Aston Martins I should say, to see if it is going to be time for Inters. Obviously gets another 3 seconds for making up his own Grand Prix track. But yeah, raining here in Mexico City. I've had a wet race in ALR 100% for a long time. Kieran is sticking out. That is slippery as all heck. Well, it's another 3 seconds. 25.9. These times are slow. I'm not saying they're slow because the tyres are old. They're slow because the track is getting wet and Reflection is in. Look at that. The track surface has just changed. I think this could be the lap for the intermediates. Vestiaire not really making much input on Marsky. Oh my god, Cam is sliding. So Cam is in. Reflection, I'm assuming, onto a set of the Inters. Yeah, Inters for Cam. Reflection, and I'm assuming Cam. Mad Max is surely going to be in. Kieran has stuck it out. Could that be a massive mistake from the V-Carb driver? I don't think he's going to quite lose 10 seconds worth of time on this lap. But everyone has come in. It is time for the intermediate tyres. Although Vestiaire hasn't really caught Marsky that much. I will say that he hasn't really caught up to the back as who's that sticking out? Jinna is sticking out on those soft tyres just behind Cam by a very slim margin. Let's see what Reflection 32.5 when he got 32.5 seconds when he got out of turn 1. He's not really gaining much time. Kieran might still be okay for this race. We'll see how it's going. Some people have elected not to pit, Jinna included, but Kieran, he's not really losing a lot of time to Reflection. He's gained a bit of time, but that car is becoming incredibly difficult to drive in this third sector. I think the third sector is quite damp and wet. Jinna raised 3 seconds for track limits. Jinna's losing a bunch of time to Cam. The gap is coming down a bit, but Kieran is staying out. Kieran's going for another lap here, and he is losing time to Reflection, but he's only lost 3/10 so far. Probably less than that, really. Well, maybe a bit more, because he lost 2.7, but he has stuck it out for another lap. So he is not pitting, but Jinna's lost so much time. That could be just because he's on those old soft tyres. He is sliding all over the place. Let's have a look at Marsky. Let's see what he's like through here compared to R2 Beat. He's losing time, but it's not a lot of time. Inters are quicker, but we're not seeing Inters being quicker by 2-3 seconds. It is a few tenths here and there, so it doesn't really make much difference at the moment, apart from Jinna, who's just sliding around like a sliding man. But yeah, Marsky's not losing a lot of time to beat. It is a couple of tenths, so the Reflection's gained, what, a second over the course of a lap? It's not as if he's getting a second every corner. Jinna has, though, come into the pits. So when you have potentially, is Marsky going to pit as well? Yes, Marsky in. So only Kieran, and Kieran's on the medium tyres. He's not losing a lot of time, but he is sliding. I think the danger now is not necessarily from time loss, but probably more from the fact he could be about to put that V-Carb into a barrier or 3. But no, here comes the time loss. Yeah, it is. Oh, it's not. It is. He's losing time, but he has such a lead. He could potentially just stick it out. I mean, given the fact he's been like sliding all over the place, it may not be the best look. Oh my god, yeah, he's really. I think this could be now. If I'm Kieran, I'm pitting this lap, and he is indeed in this lap. The rain has got too much for him, and yeah, Reflection is starting to gain a fair amount of time on the V-Cub, to say the least. Kieran into the pits, and he should retain the lead, unless Reflection has a godly final sector, as Cam picks up 3 seconds. But intermediate for Kieran, and he should come out clear of Reflection. Yeah, as I said, Reflection's had a really good last sector. He has had a good last sector, but Kieran already trundling down the pit lane, and he's already got onto the speed. So Reflection probably gained a little bit of time there, but it will be not enough to undercut the V-Card driver. Going with about 10 seconds, it's down to 6. So yeah, he lost some time with Kieran, but as I said, he's such a gap, he didn't need to worry about it. He's been able to save some tyre life as well. Jenna came out in P9. Now, interesting to see if the race going to get any heavier or if it's going to stay as it is, because we've only just really crossed over properly from dry to inters. So interesting to see what if those that went onto inters early, how their tyres are holding up. Are they overheating? Are they already a bit warm? But Kieran retains his lead. Cam as well on the Cam looking likely, even with that penalty, to be on the podium rostrum. Not a million miles away from Reflection, so definitely still in the fight potentially for P2 I should say, but he's well clear of Mad Max, who has been timed that impeccably as Mad Max. He does have air quads all over his posterior, but he has done that. He kept those tyres alive, and Vettel as well kept their tyres alive, and are able to wait for the rain to come, and has been able to, really make the most of it. Now I will say Lewis has passed. I haven't seen a notification from the FIA saying DRS has been disabled, but Lewis did not have a DRS, and Equaz doesn't, so it has been disabled. I might have missed that, or a driver simply got 3 seconds whilst I wasn't looking. Either is possible, to be fair. So, on to lap 63 of 74. Cam is closing onto the back of Reflection. He has in limit time attack, so lost some time to give him. But Equaz will be the one to watch, because at the moment he's going to keep ahead of RTB, but RTB will see how his pace is on the intermediate tyres. Because, I think Sam Equaz is going to as the Sam Equaz is going to come home in P5, Reflection P2. So it is an extension of that gap in the championship, but it is not the worst thing in the world. So he is still holding on to the Equaz. It's very nice that he does seem to get these results consistently there. Now R2B could be a real fall on his side and catch up and cause him to fall down to 6, but again, not a massive swing in the championship. It is these little swings that keep happening. I mean, Reflection really only lost the championship lead to Equaz because of that gearbox issue in Singapore, and they got it back last week, winning them come ahead in Texas. So yeah, it's not the end of the world, but Equaz just have to try and stem the bleeding from now on. That's a long way to go this season. We do have some wild cards coming back into the equation for the last 2 rounds. So I'm not going to say anything can happen, because not everything or anything can happen, but it is possible. Cam is closing Reflection. Reflection is not enjoying these inter conditions, at least compared to either V-Card really. I mean, Kieran is to be expected, but Reflection not really enjoying the weather, as there's a yellow flag for someone. Was it Vintage? I think it was a McLaren. Both of them have full front wings, at least visually. Oh no, there's another yellow. Oh, I think that might have just been Styles getting out of the way for people. Oh no, he's really struggling with Styles. He's really not enjoying it out there at the moment. That is okay. You're not sure what happened to him. Styles going very slowly. Maybe it's into their burnt up. I mean, it's wet, but you're not seeing it. Okay, it's wet enough for DRS to be disabled, which is normally enough proof that you need to. Oh man, that has been passed by Equaz. I didn't miss that. Apologies. I was going to say, normally it's proof that enough of the DRS gets disabled. We're not really seeing any rooster tails, any spray coming up from the rear of these cars, so it can't be that wet to the point where we're, still. So I wouldn't be surprised if we are going to start seeing some overheating tyres, because that could be a massive issue for them, for these drivers. Especially at a track where we've already seen for some, where even keeping dry tyres alive was a challenge and a half. So, yeah, interesting to see Jenna on the back of Kamaro race. So Jenna didn't lose out massively by keeping on the soft tyres. Yeah, he didn't lose out massively, but that's a bit wide there from Kamaro race. I think Jenna might be able to pounce on that. Jenna's got some incredible straight line speed in that Williams, which is only going to be exacerbated by the fact now that they don't have DRS. So it is purely down to straight line speed. I mean, the Alpine has also been pretty slippy in straight line speed. How did he put him on 3 seconds for that? Okay. I'm not sure how that's working. He's now on 18 seconds. And to that, Kamara's not much better. So these guys are going to tumble outside the top 10. That's vintage. It's an 3-second penalty for track limit grievances. 65.71. Cam is closing on the back of reflection. Not enjoying these in conditions anywhere near as much as the V car. But here comes, I think, Jenner about to get past Kamara. Racer. Got him the dummy. I think he did because I don't know. It doesn't look like he gave us. But yeah, Kamara's asked by Jenner continuing to push up the field. But as I said, he's got semi penalties against his name. He's probably going to be slapped around a bit. Mad Max keeping up with RTB. I said Mad Max is going to be a fantastic result for the Williams team. Well, should be a fantastic result for the Williams team. Some good points regardless for him in the Drivers' Championship. Equaz now needs to really get a wiggle on, because there is a potential world where Equaz finishes P4 and Reflection finishes P3. If that does happen, that will be fantastic news for Equaz. He'll be more than happy with that. He'll be more content as RTP picks up 3 seconds. So there is now very much a world where Equaz finishes 4th and Reflection finishes 3rd. Well, Racing now picks up 3 seconds, so drivers really struggling on these wet conditions. I realise I haven't joined the party. Oh well, I'll join the commentary box after the race. Yeah, driver's not really enjoying conditions. I think it's not quite wet enough. Like it's wet, but it's not keeping into the live kind of like wet weather, if that makes sense. So yeah, interesting. I don't think we'll go back onto this sometimes, but we'll see. Well, I think we'll have another thing for the so he's now 21. Okay. I will love to see. I love to hear from the drivers. Come on, it's a 10 seconds video of hit. What was he going to do? Is he gonna? What time is he going to go? What time will he go on to? I know it's a bit. That's unfortunate for mine. He was pretty quick today. What's it of Inters? So maybe the Inters aren't really dying out there. Not getting cold enough. Which is how Sean has not been DSQ'd yet. I'm not sure. I'm sure he's not a million miles away, to be honest, especially though he's still 5 laps to go. But yes, what was I saying? Yeah, again, this swing of the title championship fight is not going to be big. As I said, every point is counting, but it's not going to be a big swing. They are on to lap 67, equivalent to lap 67. Reflection just about to start lap 67. But yeah, he's having 71 in the twilight end of this race, and Cam is now within a second. If DRS was enabled, he would be getting it pretty much. Cam has good trail speed, much better than the Mercedes, so it could be not a V-Cub 1-2, but Cam will need to break the 3 seconds, I think it is. It is 3 seconds to break, pull out a 3 second gap on Reflection. Which, I mean, Cam has had some good pace in the wet, so it's not entirely impossible for that to be the case. Jenner picks up another 3 seconds. Someone's getting disqualified by the end of this race. I swear someone's getting disqualified. And oh no, there's a yellow. There's a yellow. That is what's happened there. I think Jenner's had an issue at the final corner because he's going very slow down the straight. He's overtaken by Vessier. He's in none, but I don't think that's purely why he's going slowly. A late safety car would really throw this race on its head. Like, Jesus Christ, that would be crazy. Nolte is flying in these wet conditions as well. Fair play, Nolte. I mean, you got 9 seconds, but you know, fair play. You are really pushing out there. Jenner, I think Jenner's really good at the race. Don't want to be a downer, but you might as well. I think people's engines are overheating and dying. That is now the issue. It is wet, but it's not wet enough. It's too wet for Inters. So too wet for Sex, but not quite wet enough for Inters. I said I will ask the drivers, guys. I think that is the case. We will wait and see. Nolte climbing his way up the order. Marsky as well. Marsky's about to be with the 3 seconds. He's about to get ahead of Knowlesy and just Knowlesy. Oh yeah, just Knowlesy. Well, that's so good for Marsky, and I'm sure Knowlesy will be happy with P9 as well. Much more well. A whistle as always. 68 of 71. We are nearly there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking by this entire time. Thank you to the drivers for giving us a belter. The race is not quite over yet. We still could have some twists and turns still to come. Can Cam get past Reflection? He probably can, but can Cam break forward the 3 second gap? Can Cam break the 3 second gap to Reflection. I doubt it. Reflection tires really hit cliff. Ekwas not a million miles away from being able to get P4. He's 9/10 away from the gap he needs to be able to keep that P4. So not impossible. Definitely not impossible. Jinna has timed that then. Jinna, we could have had like a last safe, like really late safety car here, and that would have been really good. Yeah. So we're down now to just 14 runners. Everyone who is retired has pit and quit, which A says a lot about the drivers, that not everyone is, well, you know, we lost a little bit of resolve tonight here, but also the fact that we are generally quite a team. You know, we are generally quite. I mean, RTB's been the only one that's, well, I know he's split them all, but RTB's the only one that's really kind of put a crash, and even then it was just not wind damage. So yeah, lap 69.71. Chuckle away at home if you find that funny, because you know there's something out there finds that funny. I think the car comes out with pits. It probably would have ghosted, so I didn't need to make much of it. At least I didn't need to worry about swerving too much, but yeah, they did. Mad Max is just about to be on to that gap to Ekwas. The yellow flag is waved for Guinness AI car. It does annoy me. I hope Cody's will. I say I hope Cody's they won't. But I do hope Cody's at some point fix it. So if you retire in the pits, you just either like your car just like stays in the pits. I know you can't stay in the pit box. You know, if your teammates pitting behind you, you really screw them over. But I would like a way that the AI doesn't come back out onto the track and tool around a bit and then pull over. Who knows? I've heard rumblings that EA aren't even going to get a Titans through the roof. Yeah, that's fair enough. I guess as much, Jinna, when you were sliding around on your medium tyres. Although props, you did make those hard tyres last quite a while. Like props to you for that. You did make those hard tyres last quite a while. But I guess on the mediums, I guess at the start of the race, when you were sliding around, that you were having tyre temp issues. But fair enough for taking the route just to keep everyone safe. Although as I said, a late race safety car would have been quite funny. Anyway, that's just my personal preference. Kieran has started the penultimate lap of the race on route to let me see what race in a row that he's won now. It's been quite a few of them. Let's double check. He is 1, 2. Well, he technically won his dad, what we devoted to. So he's won 3 races on the trot. He's only kept 2 of those wins. Yeah, he kept 2 of those wins. So he's technically on a 3-race streak, but he's only kept 2 of them. So yeah, it's going to be 3 in a row for Kieran. I mean, as far as I'm aware, there's no thing wrong in this race. Even if he did, he would have needed to be something quite horrific to get a penalty that would demote him from the victory. But it has been a dominant drive from him as he's about to start the final lap of the race. The weather gods have decided to add some rain, and even that hasn't been able to stop him. It has been able to stop others. Yeah, as I said, I guess, Jenna, that you were driving around on pretty hot tyres, especially when you started sliding around on lap 11. I was like, whoa! Jenna is not having fun. But fair play. On to next week, which is Reverse Austria, which I think is going to be quite fun. Who doesn't love a good Reverse Austria? That can be really fun. As I said, Reverse Silverstone was great fun, so Reverse Austria is, I think, going to be a last, especially if there's rain involved. The last race of the season next week, on which there will be no wildcards. After that, there will be something in the way of people. Next week is also the last week I can 100% commentate for, because I don't know what I'm doing for the next 3 weeks with my job. And I'm a bartender, and I got my rota for next week because we open next week, and I am rotated for midnight on Sundays where I'm closing. So safe to say I would not be able to commentate if I was working such a shift next week. Not next week. I won't be working it next week in a couple of weeks. Kieran, once again, in Kieran fashion, is already celebrating. And he is still not even reached the end of Sector 2. But he can do, because he does have that much of a gap over his rivals. And that is really the story of Kieran so far in 100%. He is the Lucas Percy. I really wish Lucas Percy would race, because I would love to see see these two fight, see how close they are. Although, as I said, like Lucas Poti hasn't really been around when Kieran has, so it could be Kieran on an alternative account. Lucas on an alternative account. It doesn't matter though, because Kieran SF1 has done his best. He hasn't quite had the dominance he had last week in Texas. It doesn't matter about the size of the victory. It matters that you do cross the line first, and it will be Kieran SF1 to make it 3 in a row here in Mexico City. He wins the Mexico City Grand Prix, and he does indeed keep his name in the championship hunt just about. But Reflection is gonna come around the final corner, and he, even though with a penalty, will also keep on second place. He does extend that gap over Equaz, and I think Equaz is just about going to be able to hold on. Is he going to be able to hold on to that fourth position? Equaz to the line, gets across the line. Can he keep fourth position? I think Mad Max is just going to fall short of the line. He does. Mad Max comes home in P5. R2 Beat is going to come home P6. Fantastic recovery drive from the Alpine driver. Vessier is going to lead home the Aston Martin team as he slides into the wall for good measure. Thank God we don't have a budget cap, otherwise I feel like a lot of drivers would have gone over it just by crashing into the wall when they cross the line. Knowlesley's got Marsky all over him. Marsky isn't going for it. Lewis O'Reilly is going to come home in P8. Knowlesley sliding around the final corner comes home, not in P9, but he does finish the line in P9. Marsky is 10th. We wait on Mushroom, Stars and Vintage. They are the last two to finish. Mushroom will come home in P11. Commendations to him, not only for finishing the race, but also for not getting a penalty during the race. Stars and Vintage. Stars not quite lapped. Vintage not quite lapped either, although he was... Not sure how this works, because he's been lapped by Ginger Rage. I don't mind. Doesn't matter. But there you go. All 14 finishes. Let me quickly just start the party for the gentleman in the top 3, because I'm sure Kieran will be wanting to hop in. He does like to have a chat with everyone about his results. Just turn my microphone as well. There we go. They can all hear me now too. Jolly good. Am I going to get... I do. I might actually get race results, guys. I know, it's so exciting. I might actually get race results. But it is a V-Carb double podium and an all-British top 3. Well, Great British. So yeah, double V-Carb podium. So really good job from everyone. As a driver celebrate the champagne, although it is raining, so don't really need to do much to be able to get wet. So we will wait for the drivers if they want to join. Hopefully I join the right commentary box. Did I join the right one? I may not join the right one. Let me just start partying that one. I didn't join the right one. I'm such a good commentator, guys. You'll be glad. You'll be glad to see me go on at the end of the season. But there you go. Kieran SF1 is on. Takes the win. Reflection second. Cam P3. Equaz P4. He should be happy with that. Mad Max P5. Beat 6th. Vessier 7th. Lewis O'Reilly 8th. Marsky 9th. Knowlesley rounds out the top 10. Mushroom P11, Stars P12, Ginger Age P13, Vintage P14, Jinner 15th, Command Racer 16th, Legend, Hings, Liam all did not DNF, but also, as I said, Jinner downwards DNF'd, but they're still classified because they did enough of the race. That is your result, your provisional result for the Mexico City Grand Prix pending penalties. That's quite a fun thing to say, pending penalties. So we will now see. We do have a couple of drivers in the party, in our commentary box. Let us begin with. Let me just pull up the right thing. Don't do the thing, F1. Nope, you're not going to do the thing. Thank you. We'll start with our third place driver, the second of the Visa Cash Apps on the podium. Cam, how's that race from your point of view? It looked like you had some fun out there.
Yeah, it was good. Tricky. I mean, the strategies didn't go exactly as I planned, but no, pace was good. Hanging on first in, and then kind of just what was fun was the last two stints of that race, the mediums and then the inters at the end. Honestly, it was just full push the entire last few laps.
Yeah, you went really long on those hards. Am I correct in assuming the plan was to go as long as possible and then basically wait for the rain, you know, regardless of when it fell?
No, it was never realistic to go to the rain. I think, I don't even know if the tires would have gone that far. It was more of go as long as you can to just make sure that one, you get an okay undercut on people that are doing two stops, but also, you know, you've got the tyre life so you can push to the end and then not suffer later on.
Yeah, you were really quick at the end of the race. You did close up to Reflection. What was it like on the Inters? Because it seemed like at one point it might not actually go to Inters. It seemed like there's a lot of indecisiveness. What was the final sort of 10 laps like? How were the Inters holding up? Were they overheating, or were you finding them to be okay?
Well, according to the game, the rears were overheating quite a lot, but I mean, driving the car, you didn't notice it. It was honestly, it was quite fun. It was almost like a 20 minute quali session where you sit into you stick 10 laps of fuel in the car. It was quite fun. Chasing up to Reflection. Obviously, as a reserve, I don't want to interfere in the title fight. That's between him and Equez. They're both done whenever they can that race. So I don't want to get in the way of that and hold up points. But no, it was real fun pushing to the end.
So do you think that if you weren't a reserve, you would have got Reflection? He's in the party, by the way, so be careful what you say.
You never know. You never know. I mean, I had that 3 second penalty until like the last 2 laps. He didn't have one, so it's one of them. If I'd gone for it, maybe he would get the 3 seconds. I don't know. Hypotheticals, I guess.
Yeah, always what ifs, but still a fantastic result. Double V-car podium. It's going to shoot them up the constructors in the end. Very well done, very well driven, Cam. Fantastic job from you. We'll move on to our championship leader, who does extend his championship lead by the smallest of margins, but still extending it nonetheless. Reflection, how's that race from your point of view? Seems like you had a lot of fun out there getting stuck in.
Yeah, it was a good race. I went for the harder compounds and saw it was going to rain towards the end of the race, so I just thought I'd go hard and hope that I make it to the rain, which luckily enough I did, so strategy paid out well. And I struggled in the rain when it started raining so bad, but thanks to Cam, he just didn't battle me, and we kept it clean, and Key again was just too quick. So now I'm very satisfied, and yeah, it was a fantastic race. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, really, really good. I mean, there were quite a few people you were fighting with. You were fighting with Beat in there. You were fighting with Jinner, although I think he was on quite a different strategy. Of course, Equaz. How was it sort of towards the end? Because you were on quite old hards. The rain started falling, and you jumped onto the Inters before Kieran. What did you think when you saw him go around again for the second lap? You thought, oh, I might be able to sort of undercut him here, because it was starting to get quite wet. Did you think you could undercut Kieran? Could you have won tonight, or do you think Kieran would have got back past you anyway?
I think Kieran had the pace. I don't think I would have undercut him. As I was coming into the last corner, my engineer come over the phone and said he thinks it's time for a change, and I saw the droplets on the road, so that was a late decision for me. I was going to stay out another lap, but because of them circumstances, I was on the last corner. I just boxed straight away. I didn't want to take any risks by staying out that extra lap if it got too wet. So, but no, Kieran was too fast. Even when he stayed out an extra lap, he still come out in 4 seconds in front of me anyway. So, no chance of the win tonight, unfortunately. But I'm friends with Kieran and I'm friends with Cam, so for us all to be on the podium, I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah, and obviously I put up the title battle because you are leading the title championship, and we do have 4 rounds to go. You extend a bit on Equaz, not a massive swing, but every point is going to count. We're going to reverse Austria next week, no wildcard, just Austria backwards. How are you going to feel about that one? I know it's quite a unique track, to say the least, given it joined the calendar this year.
I've only done a few laps on time trial around there, so I'm going to give it a lot more practice than what I normally do to give myself a good shout. Although we know the track, backwards it's a bit of a kettle of fish, especially coming into that turn 3. Well, as we know it, turn 3, when you're going backwards, that downhill left-hander. Really tough corner, so I'm going to give it a lot of practice. And fingers crossed I can be up here on the podium, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. You've got the consistency down this year, or this season at least, because you're just inching away from Equaz. How are you approaching these final few races? Because you are in the championship fight, you are the championship leader. Are you enjoying the pressure, or are you starting to be a little bit more conservative with your approach? Are you not going for moves you might have gone previously with the championship in the back of your mind?
No, I'm just enjoying it. I'm just enjoying the racing. the fights up the front. I'm just really enjoying it, so I'm not really thinking about the championship. I do miss one race, unfortunately, in a couple of weeks due to holiday, which, if I knew I would have been in this position, I wouldn't have booked it.
Wow, that is commitment. That is commitment.
But no, it's going to be my first ever ALR race miss as well. I've never missed a race, so I'm a bit gutted about that. But no, I'm just happy to be in this position and happy to be fighting with these guys because I hold so much respect for them all. They're so quick, so to be challenging them and being up there, I'm happy.
Good. Yeah, that's what we like to hear. Well done on P2. Did he join? No, he did join. Well, he joined very sneaky. I didn't catch that notification. Our P1 driver, Kieran. You're making something of a habit of this, Kieran. Some could say you need to be demoted again to an even slower team. But how was that race from your point of view? You actually had a bit of a battle at the start. Was it fun out there?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed the battle with Gina and Equus at the start of the race. Yeah, I was pushing really hard to get out of that 1 second window. Once I did that, it was just setting consistent laps. There was a stage in the race where I was just setting 21s every lap for like a solid 20 laps. I did have a battle with Equa, I don't know if you caught it, where I tried going around the outside of him. I think there was contact with us, so I let him back through and then overtook him again. But yeah, fun out there. I quite enjoyed that, especially the last 20 laps in the rain.
Yeah, we did catch that. I assumed that the collision was why you let him back through, because by all the other parameters I could have seen, I don't think I caught the actual contact on camera, but from what I saw, I thought it was a perfectly legal overtake, and then you let him go. I was like, okay, I'm assuming there was a bit of contact, but that is fair play. I mean, as I said in commentary, I don't think there's really a penalty that they can give you at this point that would really be able to negate the fact, because you won by 14 seconds. But yeah, quite dumb drive. You've gone 3 in a row. Would have been 4 if you didn't get the penalty in the Netherlands. From what I can gather, and I'm still waiting on Nolsey to confirm, you're still technically just about maybe in the title fight, but obviously I don't think that's going to be your main concern. What is your goal? Are you going to be aiming for top 3? Because Lucas Percy's making a habit of not racing. Can you get into the top 3 of the championship? Can you get that 3rd place trophy?
I was going to say top 5, but yeah, if top 3 is reachable, yeah, I'll definitely go for that. I don't think the titles on Reflection and Equus are still very consistent with their podiums and top 5s, so I think it's way out of reach. But yeah, top 5, maybe top 3, I'll aim for that, and I'll be very happy with that, considering how late I joined in the season. Yeah,
absolutely fantastic drive, and I do think P3 is on unless Lucas Percy actually starts turning up, which he might do, and if he does, that might make it even more exciting. But very well done, fantastic drive. How do you feel about Austria Reverse next week?
I quite enjoy tracks like that. A bit of new. Not many people have done it regularly, so unlike circuits like Mexico where we've had years of experience, to have Austria Reverse where no one's really done that prior to this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to it. Everyone's going to be it's going to be unknown what the result's going to be. I don't see myself winning it because I've always struggled around there, but I guess we'll see.
Well, that's going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen. We might actually have someone other than Kieran win next week. Although I feel like still your weakest track will probably still get you a win. It may be by less than 10 seconds instead of your usual winning margin. But many congratulations, fantastic drive. That is it from our top 3. Please feel free to catch us again. Of course, gold, silver, bronze. We are in Texas ourselves next week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. British summer time, and then it is back here next week for Austria Reversed in ALR 100%. So I will leave you all. They're talking in the party. I'm just going to quickly mute them so I can do my outro properly. Can I properly mute them? There we go. I've muted them all. But yes, thank you all for watching. I've been Luke. Hope you enjoyed that race. That was quite something, wasn't it? Just the race is on. The championship is on. Reflection has to miss a race. Is that going to be the end of his championship ambition? How much will Equaz gain if he misses a week? This championship is tighter than ever. Do not miss a single minute of 100% ALR coming at you every Wednesday, 7:30 PM BST. I've been Luke, as I said. That was the Mexico City Grand Prix. Quite a race, I'm sure you'll all agree. I'll catch you on the flip side. Have a lovely evening.